Novel Empire. Immortal God of Battle. Chapter 401. There is always one thing to overcome another. Realm suppression was the situation that made the experts feel helpless and powerless. It was also because of this that such an absurd scene appeared. Mingyu Yuan and Lu Shiyuan's strength was astonishing, but if 10 people surrounded Xiang Nan and fought alone, they wouldn't be able to take Xiang Nan down for a while. However, Zhao Tianxia was unable to withstand even a single move from Lu Shiyuan, yet he was able to restrain Xiang Nan. This was the helplessness brought about by the suppression of his cultivation realm. Dream Butterfly was sweating profusely. She really wanted Xiang Nan to give Zhao Tianxia a finger of tribulation. However, this was not appropriate. Although the phaseless tribulation finger could lower Zhao Tianxia's cultivation, Xiang Nan had also lowered his cultivation by half. At that time, Xiang Nan would be attacked by Mingyu Yuan and the others. At this time, Xiang Nan's realm had already reached the late stage of the 4 great origin returns. However, less than a fifth of his lightning power was left by that damned Zhao Tianxia. However, at this moment, the medicinal effects of the 30,000-year-old demon origin fruit had already reached a period of decline, and the benefits it brought to Xiang Nan were rapidly decreasing. I have already advanced to the mid-7th layer of origin return. Mingyu Yuan took a deep breath and said, "The demon origin fruit is so effective." As he spoke, he stood up. It was also a demon origin fruit, but because Xiang Nan's realm was relatively low, he had leapt from the early 4th level of origin return to the late stage of origin return. As for Mingyu Yuan, his cultivation was too high, so he had only advanced from the early stage to the middle stage. Even so, Mingyu Yuan had already become the strongest expert on the scene. Xiang Nan couldn't cross the 5th level of the origin realm. He felt very regretful in his heart. He gritted his teeth and picked up the last demon origin fruit. "Don't act recklessly," Mingyu Yuan said coldly. "The effects of the demon origin fruit are astonishing. Eating one is already enough to fill our bodies. If you take another one within a month, I guarantee that you will explode to death." Hearing Mingyu Yuan's words, Xiang Nan felt strange, because he did not feel his body full. Instead, he felt hungry and thirsty. Right. It must be caused by his own meridians. His meridians were 4 times more numerous than normal humans. "What, are you starting to get anxious now?" Xiang Nan sneered. "If you hadn't collectively targeted me at the beginning, perhaps I would have kindly given you a demon origin fruit. But now you regret it. It's already too late. Even if I die, I won't leave you any of the scum of the demon origin fruit." As he spoke, Xiang Nan swallowed the last demon origin fruit. He knew that he wouldn't explode to death, but he purposely said this to vent his anger. Ha! Seeing that scene, all the experts pulled their hair and shouted loudly. "Little bastard!" Mingyu Yuan glared at Xiang Nan and scolded, her eyes almost bleeding. You. How dare you! I'm going to tear you into pieces." Zhao Tianxia, continue. When Zhao Tianxia saw everyone, he was so angry that he sank into a berserk state. He was afraid that they would vent their anger on him and attack the alchemy prison even more crazily. That Zhao Tianxia had already risked his life. He had exceeded his limits and bombarded the alchemy prison like a madman. He didn't hold back his yuan qi at all. After eating the demon origin fruit, Xiang Nan immediately circulated the 9 purities cosmos skill, striving to break through to the 5th level of the origin return realm. Everyone, attack together. The effects of the demon origin fruit in Xiang Nan's body have yet to be fully displayed. Let's kill him and drink his blood. Mingyu Yuan gritted her teeth. He was furious, actually saying such shocking words, wanting to drink human blood. However, those experts who were on the verge of going mad suddenly became excited. Right. Drink Xiang Nan's blood. At that time, 10 experts at the 7th level of origin return would be able to get a piece of the pie. This was easier to distribute than a demon origin fruit. They were originally from the dark forces, people from the corrupt path, and eating people and drinking blood wasn't particularly repulsive. All of a sudden, many experts rushed out in unison, cooperating with Zhao Tianxia and attacking the alchemy prison crazily. As a result, Xiang Nan's lightning power rapidly decreased. In just 5 seconds, a loud explosion erupted. The alchemy prison turned back into a golden rope. Xiang Nan was quick-witted. The moment the alchemy prison was broken, he grabbed Dream Butterfly with his left hand and struck out with his right palm. Great way to a palm. When Xiang Nan was at the early 4th level of the Origin Core Realm, he had been able to fight against a 7th level Origin Core Realm expert. Now, he was at the late stage of the Great Realm, and his strength had. That enormous palm of Yuan Qi was actually able to shake back the 10 great experts with a single palm strike. 10 7th level Origin returning realm experts were blasted away by Great Wei Tua Palm at the same time. Although they were blasted back, they did not suffer any obvious internal injuries. Zhao Tianxia was stunned. He didn't expect that the youth who walked out of the cage would be so powerful. Zhao Tianxia, go. Mingyu Yuan said angrily. However, Zhao Tianxia was so scared that his entire body trembled that he didn't even dare to look at Xiang Nan. Dream Butterfly raised her hand and caught the rope of the alchemy prison in her hand. The 10 experts swarmed forward once again. Xiang Nan's right thumb pointed out, and a beam of flames from Mo pointed swept out violently. The top 10 experts hurriedly dodged and jumped down one after another. However, Xiang Nan's finger power flew quickly, still hitting 4 people. The second 7th level origin reversion expert of the heavenly demon religion could not dodge. He was directly cut open by Mo pointed, revealing his internal organs. He hurriedly covered the wound with his hand and jumped up again. Scarlet Tiger's 7th level origin returning expert was also cut open. A Black Flag killer, however, was terrible. This person's strength was not bad, but he was still a speed-type martial artist. His defense was much lower than others. He was actually pointed at by Mo and slashed at the waist on the spot. The strangest thing was Zhao Tianxia. He was the weakest, but he was hit by Mo pointed on the waist. He just let out a miserable scream and covered his stomach and howled. His stomach, however, was not cut open at all, only a shallow burn mark. You bastard, what are you afraid of? Your realm is higher than his, hit him. Mingyu Yuan said angrily. Zhao Tianxia was so frightened that he trembled. He hurriedly rushed forward and struck Xiang Nan with his palm. This palm strike was nothing to Mingyu Yuan and the others. However, Xiang Nan raised his long saber high to block it, and was struck by Zhao Tianxia's palm on the dragon blood saber, sending Xiang Nan flying backwards. The terrifying pressure even smashed down Xiang Nan's upper body, causing his bones to creak. Zhao Tianxia did not expect him to be so powerful. He was immediately overjoyed and said, "Everyone, don't worry. Leave this kid to me. I can kill him alone." Zhao Tianxia was quite confident as he rushed forward and struck Xiang Nan with his palm. "Run!" Meng Dai hurriedly said, "Good brother, although you can't beat Zhao Tianxia, your speed is faster than his." Xiang Nan had already thought of this. With a flash of his body, he directly bypassed Zhao Tianxia and attacked Lu Shiyuan. Mingyu Yuan had also increased her cultivation by 1 level, so Xiang Nan wasn't confident in dealing with him now. Come! Mingyu Yuan released a strand of Yuan Qi from her right hand, pulling Zhao Tianxia in front of her. Just in time for Xiang Nan to slash down with his saber, the flames on the blade were fierce, and he was about to slash Lu Shiyuan in half. As for Zhao Tianxia, he stood in front of Lu Shiyuan and hurriedly pushed his hands to release his Yuan Qi. Clang! The dragon blood saber struck at Zhao Tianxia's Yuan Qi, but it was unable to break through the Yuan Qi. Instead, it bounced Xiang Nan away. Chapter 402 Monster vs. Monster. Hide behind Zhao Tianxia. Mingyu Yuan roared. Of the 10 experts, 1 was sliced by Xiang Nan's mo finger, 2 were cut open, and they were using cultivation to treat their injuries. The remaining 7 origin returning 7th stage experts all lined up in a straight line and hid behind Zhao Tianxia. Let's fight him. Lu Shiyuan said angrily, let's use all our firepower and use chariot warfare to kill Xiang Nan. Mingyu Yuan smiled sinisterly, why bother? With Zhao Tianxia here, let him restrain Xiang Nan first. We'll just have to use our left hand to benefit from the fishermen. If they fought against Xiang Nan in the chariot battle, the 7 of them would still be able to kill him, but they would definitely pay an extremely painful price. Then Lu Shiyuan nodded, Zhao Tianxia, fight. Zhao Tianxia drew out a long sword and slashed at Xiang Nan with a sword light. Xiang Nan bypassed the sword light and Zhao Tianxia at an even faster speed and slashed towards the people behind him. This saber strike was the 3rd move of the Yang Flame Saber technique. The powerful white Yang Flame flames condensed an infinite amount of saber light. The terrifying Yang Flame Saber light caused everyone to lose their color in shock. Lu Shiyuan, who was at the front, pulled Zhao Tianxia over and stopped him in front of the saber light. On the other hand, Zhao Tianxia slashed his sword once more. The ordinary sword light collided with Xiang Nan's peerlessly tyrannical Yang Flame Saber light. The collision between the 2 sides caused a boom that cancelled out each other. Xiang Nan's heart sank, and all the enemies on the other side burst into laughter. Good brother, let's use your lightning to escape. There's no need to fight them to the death. Find a place to absorb the demon origin fruit in your body. Dream Butterfly whispered in Xiang Nan's ear. Xiang Nan gritted his teeth and said, no way. These people used to treat you like a plaything. If I don't avenge you, then what kind of man am I? I must kill them today. Ha ha ha, well said. Suddenly, a loud laugh came from the distant sky. Hearing this laugh, Xiang Nan's expression immediately changed. Almost at the same time, a gigantic essence ghost claw suddenly grabbed towards Xiang Nan. The power of the ghost claw was boundless, causing the jungle to howl and a dark wind to rise within a radius of several kilometers. Xiang Nan subconsciously raised his saber to hack at the ghost claw. Unexpectedly, the ghost claw suddenly changed directions and grabbed the dream butterfly. Shit! Xiang Nan's heart sank. At this moment, the 2 people descending from the sky were Dong Wushang's father and son. Dong Wushang handed the dream butterfly to Dong Lin. Dong Lin used his sword to put it on Dream Butterfly's neck. Little friend Xiang, I've finally found you. That Dong Wushang laughed loudly. Tonight, you left without saying goodbye, making Uncle miss you so much. Mingyu Yuan's and the others' expressions changed drastically as they cried out in shock, 5th Heavenly Yuan Realm Expert. What do you want? Xiang Nan gritted his teeth and narrowed his eyes. Little friend Xiang, why are you pretending to be confused? Dong Wushang smiled and said, you and I have already made an agreement. I just came to fulfill the agreement. Earlier, I treated you as a guest of honor, but you didn't say goodbye. In order to prevent this from happening again, I can only rudely take down Miss Meng Dai first. Not far away, Mingyu Yuan had already begun to retreat quietly. After retreating a few steps, she turned into a ray of light and fled into the distance with a whoosh. Dong Wushang waved his hand and a strong wind swept Mingyu Yuan back. No one can leave without my consent. Dong Wushang coldly looked at Mingyu Yuan. Many experts present complained to themselves, especially one of the Scarlet Tiger's 7th level origin returning experts. He sighed and said, "This is bad. I didn't expect that he would fall into the hands of the Black Forest heavenly fiend Dong Wushang. This person is vicious and ruthless. He does everything he wants." Dong Wushang smiled and said, "Liner, this time, I found many tonic medicine for you." Dong Lin nodded happily, "Father, these people are strong, they will definitely nourish the child's body." Everyone was puzzled. What kind of tonic? However, Xiang Nan knew that Dong Wushang's so-called tonic was to suck a martial artist dry and use his vitality as a tonic for Dong Lin to eat. "Little friend Xiang, I don't blame you for stealing a pool of my potion. I don't blame you for leaving without saying goodbye," said Dong Wushang, hugging his shoulder. "As long as you help me resist the strong enemies, these debts will be written off." Just as he was speaking, an aged roar suddenly came from the horizon. "Old thief Wushang! Where are you fleeing to? Give me back my life-continuing pill." However, under the night sky, a cold black shadow whistled over. The black shadow stopped in mid-air and turned into a gray-haired old man. The old man's face was ferocious, his cheeks sunken, and his face was covered in a faint black spot. It seemed that he had been cultivating evil arts all year round. Another Tianyuan 5th layer expert. Mingyu Yuan and the others immediately felt powerless. This time, it was really difficult to fly. "Old thief Wushang, return my life-continuing pill." Without saying a word, the old man directly pounced down. The old man clapped his hands repeatedly as strands of Yuan Qi palm power descended. The surrounding air was actually filled with cold winds and ghost howls that caused people to tremble. Dong Wushang also clawed his claws, his enormous essence ghost claw colliding with the old man's palm. In an instant, within a radius of 1 mile, a sinister wind pierced through the bones. The increasingly fierce ghost howls caused the weak martial artists to have a splitting headache, and they all lay on the ground and screamed miserably. Mingyu Yuan's group of 9 7th level origin returning experts were slightly better, but they heard blood flowing from their 7 orifices. They sat down cross-legged and used their skills to resist the ghost howl. Only Xiang Nan and Dream Butterfly were wrapped in 2 strands of Yuan Qi. They were well protected, and this Yuan Qi was released by Dong Wushang. "Help my father." Dong Lin gently sliced the sword around Dream Butterfly's neck and saw the blood slowly overflowing onto the edge of the sword. Xiang Nan glared coldly at Dong Lin, causing him to tremble. At this time, Dong Wushang and the old man had already fought to the point of becoming white-hot. The 2 great masters had transformed into 2 phantoms that collided with each other in the sky. The 2 phantoms were terrifyingly fast. With Xiang Nan's strong eyesight, he could only see the shadows flickering, unable to distinguish who was who. "How can I help? I can't even find the old man anywhere," said Xiang Nan angrily. "Let me help you." Dong Wushang suddenly descended from the sky and picked up Xiang Nan. "Attack!" Dong Wushang shouted. Xiang Nan didn't dare to ignore the fact that Dream Butterfly had been kidnapped, so he could only forcefully use the phaseless tribulation finger. A 10-meter-tall Buddha appeared out of thin air, wrapping around Xiang Nan and Dong Wushang. Following which, Xiang Nan pointed out, and the black phaseless tribulation finger shot towards the old man with a whoosh. But what realm was that old man at? How could he be targeted by Xiang Nan? That old man just copped and easily dodged the tribulation-free finger. No way. Xiang Nan gritted his teeth and broke out in cold sweat. Dong Wushang whispered in Xiang Nan's ear, "Listen to my orders later, I'll let you have some. Don't worry about anything, just point straight ahead." Chapter 403 Black Eat Black. The old man was in a trance and rushed forward. His hands hooked towards Dong Wushang's head fiercely. Under this hook, the sinister Yuan Qi immediately condensed into a curved Yuan Qi sickle and sliced towards Dong Wushang's head. The old man was clearly in front of him, but Dong Wushang did not give any instructions, so Xiang Nan was not moved. Dong Wushang's right hand hooked and drew out a ghost claw of Yuan Qi. The ghost claw grabbed onto the sickle of Yuan Qi, but it was cut open by the sickle of Yuan Qi. The speed at which the sickle cut through the ghost claw was too fast. The ghost claw had only just condensed when it was cut off, causing Dong Wushang to suffer a backlash and a stream of blood to seep out from the corner of his mouth. "Now, attack!" Dong Wushang shouted. The old man succeeded in waving his hand and jumped into the air, flying behind Dong Wushang. In front of Xiang Nan was clearly the sky, and there was no trace of the old man at all. But since it was Dong Wushang who spoke, Xiang Nan could only bite the bullet and point at the sky in front of him. Just as the phaseless tribulation finger was about to shoot out, Dong Wushang suddenly flashed with Xiang Nan in his arms. The two of them instantly climbed 10 meters at an extremely fast speed. He arrived directly above the old man and was lying flat in the sky. Xiang Nan pointed at the old man's head with his black finger. The old man's reaction was extremely fast. He raised his hand and struck out with a palm. On the terrifying Yuan Qi palm, there were faintly 3 ghostly faces. Those 3 ghostly faces were all in their palms, and their expressions were twisted in pain as they opened their mouths and screamed in pain. The finger power of the tribulation-free finger pierced through the old man's Yuan Qi palm and struck him in the head. The old man's ghost palm also rushed forward, but Dong Wushang turned around and used his back to help Xiang Nan receive a palm strike. Pooh! Dong Wushang spat out a mouthful of blood. What is this? My realm! The old man screamed when he was struck by the finger of tribulation. Do it again. Dong Wushang was seriously injured, but he gritted his teeth and shouted. Xiang Nan pointed out the 3rd tribulation-free finger. His realm had already declined to the middle and late stages of the 3rd level of the origin return realm. As for the old man, he was caught off guard and was struck by another finger. His cultivation realm directly fell to the 3rd level of the heavenly Yuan realm. The martial artists below were all shocked. They didn't know what kind of terrifying martial skill Xiang Nan was using. Ah! The old man shouted, "My realm! My realm has fallen! Ha 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 ha!" Dong Wushang looked up and laughed. "Old man, to tell you the truth, this little friend Xiang of mine used the unparalleled tribulation finger. If you can die on the tribulation-free finger, it can be said that your death is not unjust." Dong Wushang let go of Xiang Nan and rushed forward. With a single palm strike, the old man, whose cultivation had dropped by 2 levels, was chopped into pieces. Whew! Dong Wushang heaved a sigh of relief, and his heart finally relaxed. Phaseless tribulation finger. Mingyu Yuan and her companions looked at each other. What kind of martial skill is that? How come I've never heard of it before? The phaseless tribulation finger, Lu Shiyuan of the primordial chaos sect, gritted his teeth and said, "The phaseless tribulation finger is the #1 wondrous skill in Buddhism. I didn't expect such a martial skill to really exist. I always thought it was just a legend. What #1 miraculous skill?" Mingyu Yuan's master was not the same person as Master Dream Butterfly, so he had never heard of such a rare martial skill. Just as they were talking, Dong Wushang suddenly descended from the sky and grabbed the head of a primordial chaos sect martial artist with his big hand. The primordial chaos sect martial artist was at the 6th level of the origin realm, but he didn't even snort. He immediately rolled his eyes, opened his mouth, and coughed in his throat. In a short period of time, this disciple of the primordial chaos sect was sucked into a dried corpse. Good, good, good. Dong Wushang looked at the green ball of light floating in his palm and said, "This is the first time I've seen such pure vitality on an origin realm martial artist. Looks like these people are indeed outstanding people in the same realm. The heavens are really helping me." This scene frightened Mingyu Yuan and the others until their faces turned pale, but none of them dared to say another word. Dong Wushang flew to his son's side and said, "Liner, quickly swallow it." Dong Lin happily nodded his head and swallowed the ball of light with one mouthful. He said happily, "So comfortable. Father, this light of life is much stronger than the ones you sucked into me earlier." "Ha ha ha." Dong Wushang laughed heartily, "That's the best." Dong Wushang took the dream butterfly from Dong Lin and said, "Liner, search the bodies of those dead people." Dong Lin ran out and searched through the corpses. When he touched the corpses of Zhao Tianxia and the others, he was pleasantly surprised and said, "Father, 3 devil seed tokens were found on these corpses." "Oh." Dong Wushang was overjoyed. There are actually 3 of them. In addition to the 3 we found earlier, there are now 6 devil seed tokens. This is great. Lin, let's go meet some old friends. When we send the devil seed token, they will definitely read me a favor. Perhaps your Uncle Phone will teach you the meridian opening mysterious technique and help you open your 2 meridians. Dong Lin was also happy. Dong Lin's talent had 2 meridians, and all of them were blocked, but this did not affect his cultivation. This Dong Lin also had the 6th level of origin return. However, his lifespan would be very short. However, if he was able to unlock his talent, it would definitely be like adding wings to a tiger's body. Lu Shiyuan was shocked and said, "This person actually has dual meridians talent. It's really rare. Let's go." That Dong Wushang used his Yuan Qi to sweep up the remaining 30 or so martial artists and flew into the distance. In the sky, Dong Wushang flew at the front and said to Xiang Nan, "This time, I have to rely on little friend Xiang's help to kill that old thief." Xiang Nan nodded and turned to look at Dream Butterfly. Dong Wushang said, "Don't worry, I'm only keeping your little lover for the time being. Little friend Xiang can rest assured that I will definitely find a way to save her." Have you ever heard of the name Profound Ancestor? Xiang Nan shook his head. Dong Wushang smiled and said, "That Profound Ancestor is a wondrous person. He has quite a deep attainment in array techniques and pill refining. Moreover, he has practiced a profound art. If he is willing to save Miss Meng Dai, then there is hope that the poison in Miss Meng Dai's body can be dispelled. What's more, he has practiced a profound art. If he is willing to save Miss Meng Dai, then there is hope that the poison in Miss Meng Dai's body can be dispelled." Mysterious Tao martial arts generally refers to martial arts techniques other than martial arts. Usually speaking, martial arts techniques evolved from formations, pill refining techniques, or artifact forging techniques. For example, Xiang Nan had learned the Cosmos fire controlling technique from half a gourd. This kind of martial skill was not a martial skill, but a profound martial skill. The so-called mysterious Tao martial skill was, of course, an even more profound mysterious Tao martial skill. While the two of them were chatting, Xiang Nan was still secretly circulating the 9 purities Cosmos skill, stimulating the medicinal power of the demon origin fruit in his body again and continuing to absorb it. After everyone flew out for a while, Xiang Nan's realm had risen to the early 5th layer of origin return. Little friend Xiang, why did your cultivation level advance so quickly without warning? Dong Wushang was shocked. Chapter 404 Friends. Xiang Nan couldn't find any good reason to explain. He could only say that it was because he had cultivated the phaseless tribulation finger. The group of people tied up behind them let out a long sigh of relief. Xiang Nan didn't dare to mention any demon origin fruits. Those fruits would definitely be of great benefit to Dong Lin. If Dong Wushang knew that he had killed all 5 30,000-year-old demon origin fruits, he might have angrily killed all of them on the spot. However, Dong Wushang's eyes flickered with greed when he mentioned the unparalleled tribulation finger. He sighed with emotion. Indeed, it is an unparalleled martial skill under the heavens. I didn't expect that the unparalleled tribulation finger would not only lower the enemy's realm, but also bring about a rapid improvement in his own realm. This time, Dong Wushang was even more thirsty for the finger of tribulation. He wished he could torture Xiang Nan fiercely on the spot and force Xiang Nan to say the incantation of the finger of tribulation. However, although Dong Wushang was ruthless, he wasn't stupid. On the contrary, he was very accurate in judging people. This Xiang Nan was able to send Yuan Qi to the dream butterfly regardless of his life, and he would not let go even when facing a strong enemy. This meant that torture was of little use to people like Xiang Nan. It was also because Dong Wushang was very good at looking at people that he had been able to survive in this chaotic place in the western regions until now. But at this moment, Xiang Nan's realm was still rising, reaching the mid-5th level of the origin return realm. That Dong Wushang's heart itched impatiently. He dreamed of obtaining the tribulation-free finger. He kept on speeding at a high speed. He had to calm down. You must be calm and not self-defeating. If he accidentally pushed this Xiang Nan to the extreme, then he probably wouldn't have the chance to obtain the phaseless tribulation finger in his lifetime. He couldn't go to Feiyun Temple alone to rob him, could he? Congratulations, little friend Xiang. Your cultivation has improved once again. Dong Wushang cupped his fists and congratulated him hypocritically, but his heart was burning. Dong Lin could clearly see it from the side, but his heart was also itching. Only Ming Yu Yuan and the others knew what was going on, but they all sneered. Since there were still 7 days and 6 nights left before the Demon Sea opened, Dong Wushang did not hurry to attack Xiang Nan on the sidelines, or try to lure Xiang Nan into using the formless tribulation finger's incantation. Xiang Nan, on the other hand, ignored Dong Wushang's words, leaving Dong Wushang helpless. In the evening, Dong Wushang sucked another disciple of the primordial chaos sect to death and gave Dong Lin the light of life to eat. This Dong Wushang recognized the primordial chaos sect. He specifically picked primordial chaos sect martial artists to suck in. He was very smart. He had already seen the origins of the other 3 groups of forces. Crimson Tiger and Black Flag were the local dark forces of the western regions. Before the end, Dong Wushang did not want to move. If he encountered experts from these two forces halfway through the journey, he would still be able to return these disciples. At that time, it was another favor. As for Mingyu Yuan of the Heavenly Demon sect, Dong Wushang didn't even dare to think about it and didn't even plan to hurt him. What was the origin of the Heavenly Devil religion? Dong Wushang didn't have the guts to touch it. Only the Primordial Chaos sect had a long way to go. If they killed him, they would be killed. They probably wouldn't dare to come to the Blue Tide continent from the Glacier continent to cause trouble. As night approached, everyone finally landed on a mountain peak with Dong Wushang. There was nothing above the mountain, nothing at all. "Father, is this where we came to pay our respects to the two uncles?" "I didn't see anyone." Lin, you don't know that. Your Uncle Tan is a master of the profound Tao, so his mansion is naturally extraordinary. Look, let me show you." As he spoke, Dong Wushang raised his right index finger. Then, a ball of black gas began to slowly condense on the index finger. Everyone was puzzled, and Xiang Nan also felt that it was very strange. Do you still need martial skills to enter the mansion? Moreover, the martial skill Dong Wushang used took such a long time to condense. The black gas at the tip of Dong Wushang's finger condensed for a full minute. Xiang Nan had never seen a martial skill that required such a long time to store qi. However, right after that, Dong Wushang condensed the black gas on his fingertips into a small skull, and without any warning, he pointed at Xiang Nan's heart. "You!" Xiang Nan hurriedly took 2 steps back. He lowered his head and saw that a black skeleton tattoo had appeared on his chest. Only then did Xiang Nan realize that he had been tricked. Dong Wushang's martial skill required a long time to store his qi. If he used this move to deal with him, he would have been prepared and even escaped long ago. This time, using such an interface to perform for everyone was actually taking the opportunity to point at him and make him unprepared. "Little friend Xiang, you don't need to panic." Dong Wushang finally let out a long sigh and said, "This finger of mine is called the life-seizing finger. It won't cause any harm to you. It's just that no matter where you flee to, that skeleton's imprint will allow me to find you." Xiang Nan took a deep breath and forcefully suppressed his anger. "All right." Dong Wushang turned around and cupped his fists in the direction of the open space. "Brother Tan, please open the door. Someone from Dong is here to visit." Less than half a minute after he finished speaking, the open flat ground suddenly began to shake. Immediately after, a magnificent manor slowly rose from the ground. Everyone was speechless. This scene was a bit mysterious. "Let's go." Dong Wushang laughed loudly and brought everyone into the manor. The manor was beautifully decorated with beautiful mountains, clear waters, flowers, birds, fish, and insects. The exquisite and unique rockery stood tall everywhere. Streams that came from nowhere trickled through the green bamboo forest. There were already 4 people waiting in the courtyard. "Ha, Brother Dong, we've been waiting for you for a long time." The person who spoke sounded like a bell, his inner breath extremely deep, but he had a very abrupt and aged face. This person should be in his 40s or 50s. He didn't know what was going on, but he was still young and senile. "Ha, Brother Tan." Dong Wushang cupped his fists and said, "I brought my son here to visit you today. Did I disturb your cultivation?" "Oh, so Brother Mo Ru came earlier than me." Dong Wushang greeted another person. It was a charming woman, not a beauty of beauty, but a maturity of great temptation. Ah! Everyone felt that this was inconceivable. Since that woman was a woman, she was naturally a woman, but Dong Wushang called her brother Imo. The woman had a small black mole below her, which looked like a drop of water, making her look even more enchanting. "Brother Dong, you told me to come to Big Brother Tan's mansion long ago. The two of us have waited so bitterly." The woman smiled dissolutely and said, "Brother Dong, you've already told me to come to Big Brother Tan's mansion. I just don't know why the three of us are meeting this time." Dong Wushang laughed and said, "Come and see." As he spoke, Dong Wushang took out 6 Devil Sea tokens. Upon seeing the Devil Sea token, Mo Rushi and I were overjoyed at the same time. Chapter 405 7-Star Formation. Amongst the 4 people, there was Mo Rushi, who was still young and aged. The other was Mo Rushi, who was clearly a woman but was called Brother Mo. The other 2 were young and pretty girls. This girl was standing beside Mrs. Tan. Another was a man who looked rather feminine. This man was very charming and enchanting. His pair of peach blossom eyes were fluttering about, and it could be said that his charming eyes were filled with spring. However, although this person's lips were red and teeth were white, his face was even paler, more like a morbid pallor. Moreover, his body was relatively weak, so he should not be a martial artist. This person was standing beside Mo Rushi. What was even more surprising was that this enchanting man had always put his right hand into Mo Rushi's embrace and gently rubbed her chest. It was not surprising what people would think. And Mo Rushi didn't care at all. "Brother Lin Lin." The little girl beside Mrs. Tan jumped towards Dong Lin. "Tang Tang, long time no see." Dong Lin smiled and grabbed the little girl's hands as he greeted her intimately. Dong Wushang smiled and said, "I haven't seen Tang Tang in a year and she has already turned into a beauty. You and Lin Lin can go play. Your master and I still have some things to discuss." Dong Wushang walked forward with the 6 Devil Sea tokens and handed them to Mo Ru and Mo Ru respectively, leaving behind 2 of them. Mo Ru laughed dissolutely. "Brother Dong still has the means. Brother Tan and I have already captured 200 people here, but we didn't even get a single Devil Sea token. However, as soon as Brother Dong took action, we directly got 6 of them. That's..." The enchanting man beside Mo Rushi covered his mouth and chuckled. The moment Heavenly Fiend Black Forest attacked, it was naturally extraordinary. As the man spoke, his movements became even bolder. He untied Mo Rushi's belt, extended his right hand between Mo Rushi's legs, and gently, but quickly, trembled inside. Mo Rushi's complexion turned redder and redder. She began to hold her breath. After holding her breath for half a minute, she suddenly shouted and sat softly on the ground. As for the enchanting man, he sat down together without stopping the movement in his hand. Everyone was dumbfounded, not knowing what expression to use to face this strange situation. Dong Wushang and Mistress Tan were obviously accustomed to this scene and didn't think much of it. "Come, Miss Meng Dai." Dong Wushang waved his hand and pulled Meng Dai to his side. "Brother Tan, Miss Meng Dai and little friend Xiang over there are my good friends. Come and take a look for Miss Meng Dai. She's already poisoned. Let's see if we can detoxify her." Xiang Nan knew that Dong Wushang had bad intentions. He just wanted to pretend to please him so that he could deceive him of the tribulation finger art, but that was even better. As long as he could save the dream butterfly. "So it's like this." Master Tan grabbed onto Meng Dai's wrist and gave her a pulse. "Miss Meng Dai, this is the famous Tan Bu Hui of the Western regions. She is known as the life-seizing miracle doctor in Jianghu." "Ah. So he's the life-seizing miracle doctor." In the direction of the Scarlet Tiger, a martial artist cried out in horror. Everyone looked towards the Scarlet Tiger Martial Cultivator. The Scarlet Tiger Martial Cultivator's face turned pale with fright. I heard that the life-seizing miraculous doctor's mastery of the mysterious Tao is extraordinary, and his medical skills are similarly profound and unfathomable. However, he has a very strange rule, he said. Those who come to him for medical treatment, if they are women, will give birth to a child for him. If they are men, they will give their wives to him and give birth to a child for him. Ah! Meng Dai hurriedly pulled her right hand back and said, "Old man, I don't want to give birth to a child for you." Tan Buhui smiled and said, "Don't worry, since you are Brother Dong's friend, I will naturally treat you for free." Hearing this, Meng Dai felt relieved and sent her hand out again. Tan Buhui looked at the Scarlet Tiger Martial Cultivator and said, "You haven't finished yet. Continue." The Scarlet Tiger Martial Artist didn't dare to say anything, but when he heard Tan Buhui's words, he could only brace himself and say, "So, if the patient is a man and doesn't have a wife, the life-slaying miracle doctor will not treat him. Why do you want children?" Mingyu Yen was puzzled and asked. The Scarlet Tiger Martial Cultivator's face turned even paler as he said, "Because the life-seizing miraculous doctor has a famous saying, 'Come out of your body and eat for yourself.' He believes that the best tonic in the world is the meat that has fallen from his body, so he keeps begging for children. Every time he gives birth to a child, he will take advantage of the freshness and eat it directly." What? Xiang Nan and the others' pupils contracted when they heard this. They simply couldn't believe it. Even the heavenly devil religion, which had always been famous for its evil ways, Mingyu Yuan's body trembled. Everyone said that tiger poison didn't eat children, but that Tan Buhui was actually a descendant who specifically ate his own. Xiang Nan was furious. There was actually such a vicious person in the world. The Scarlet Tiger Martial Artist continued, "Therefore, the life-seizing miracle doctor has never had a descendant. I heard that he tried to leave behind a son, but he couldn't help but feel his appetite. When his son was 3 years old, he still couldn't hold back and ate his son. In order to prevent himself from dying, he adopted a girl and raised her as his own daughter. At this time, Tan Buhui said to Meng Dai, 'The poison in this little girl's body is very strange. I have never heard of it before. I have never seen it before. How about this, let this old man use 7 silver needles to set up a 7-star Big Dipper formation on your body and extract the poison from your body.'" As he spoke, Tan Buhui flipped his right hand. 7 strands of hair appeared in his palm, but there were silver needles as long as an ordinary person's forearm. "No!" Xiang Nan was shocked and shouted, "That silver needle is so long, isn't it going to pierce through people?" Dong Wushang smiled and comforted, "Little friend Xiang, don't worry. If I want to harm Miss Dream Butterfly, how can I let Brother Tan go through so much trouble?" Tan Buhui pulled out a silver needle and searched Meng Dai's stomach. After finding the correct acupoint, he needled it down. The silver needle was frighteningly long. It actually pierced through Dream Butterfly's stomach and pierced out the needle from its back. Immediately after, Tan Buhui pulled out another 6 silver needles and pierced through the other 6 acupoints on Dream Butterfly's stomach, all of them penetrating through her body. The silver needle was very thin. Although it pierced through her body, Dream Butterfly only frowned. Apart from a little pain, she did not feel any other discomfort. Following that, Tan Buhui spread out his left hand and a ball of pale green flame rose from his palm. The flame transformed into 7 times flying onto the silver needle. The 7 silver needles immediately shone like the Big Dipper in the sky. The Dream Butterfly immediately trembled. The green patterns on her body that Xiang Nan forced back with great difficulty appeared again and quickly covered her entire body, including her face and white eyes. However, these green patterns quickly faded away. The 7 needle tips that pierced through the back of the dream butterfly all turned bright green, and green liquid slowly dripped down. Chapter 406 Paradox. Seeing this scene, Xiang Nan couldn't help but feel admiration in his heart. Although Tan Buhui was extremely vicious, he had to admit that he was indeed capable in the profound Tao. In fact, Tan Buhui wasn't using medical techniques to save the dream butterfly. Instead, he set up a profound formation on the dream butterfly's body and used the power of the formation to force out the poison in the dream butterfly's body. As for the green liquid flowing out of the needle tip of the silver needle, it burned as soon as it landed on the ground. It burned into green flames. Everyone's scalps went numb when they saw this. What kind of venom was that? It was actually so strange. Xiang Nan was incomparably happy. As long as Dream Butterfly was saved, it didn't matter. The venom that the silver needle forced out was very slow. Every minute, only 1 drop flowed out. Half an hour later, the 7 silver needles suddenly trembled. Then, their bodies turned green. Following that, the 7 silver needles all melted into molten iron. Tan Buhui controlled the silver needle with the profound Tao. After the silver needle was melted, he quickly took 3 steps back and coughed out a large mouthful of blood. "Ah, Brother Tan, how are you?" Dong Wushang hurriedly went up to help. Tan Buhui waved his hand and said in shock, "What a tyrannical poison. This is truly the only poison I've ever seen in my life." This old man used an earth-grade intermediate-grade silver needle to assist the Big Dipper formation to expel the poison for her. I didn't expect that it would actually fail. This old man himself suffered a backlash. Fortunately, this old man was able to pull out my hand in time. Otherwise, I'm afraid that my meridians would have been broken and my cultivation would have been completely lost. When everyone heard this, they felt a chill run from the bottom of their feet straight to the top of their heads. The poison in the dream butterfly's body was far beyond a normal person's cognitive ability. However, even though this old man has failed, he has already forced out 1/3 of Miss Meng Dai's poison. Tan Buhui took a deep breath and said, "But this old man is very strange. Although old brother Dong is at the 5th level of the heavenly Yuan realm, how did he manage to let her live to this day? Logically speaking, she will die after a moment of poisoning. Unless this old man personally takes action, she will definitely die." Dong Wushang meaningfully glanced at Xiang Nan and said, "It wasn't me who saved her. I don't have that much ability. The reason Miss Meng Dai was able to survive until now was all because of little friend Xiang's hard work." Tan Buhui looked at Xiang Nan with a shocked expression and said, "Impossible. This is absolutely impossible. Could it be that this kid's medical skills are still above mine?" Dong Wushang whispered in Tan Buhui's ear a few times. Tan Buhui's expression changed drastically as he whispered, "Is this true?" "Everything is true." Dong Wushang nodded. Xiang Nan had already pulled Dream Butterfly back to her side and continued to inject Yuan Qi into her body. After feeling that the toxicity in her body had indeed lessened a little, she finally relaxed. Amazing, really amazing. Tan Buhui's eyes were filled with greed. If you want to use a cultivation technique to renew the life of the dream butterfly, you need to be at least at the 5th level of Heaven Scryer. Furthermore, you may not be able to reach the same level as little friend Xiang. Looks like little friend Xiang's cultivation technique is truly exquisite. The two of them were chatting while Mo Rushi, who was standing beside them, was already lying on the ground crying for his mother and father, trembling for more than 10 rounds. At this time, Mo pushed away the seductive man beside him and stood up, panting, "I heard what Brother Dong said." As he spoke, Mo waved his right hand and a strange plant suddenly grew on the ground. The plant's whip vines twisted together and twisted into a wooden table. Sly technique. Seeing this, Xiang Nan's heart sank. There were evil martial arts techniques and martial skills in the martial Tao, as well as the profound Tao. As for the evil martial arts in the profound Tao, it was called a paradox technique. Mo had spawned a plant out of thin air. Such a method was extremely rare. "Little friend Xiang, I heard that you are good at Kung Fu. Let me propose a toast to you. If you can scare a cup of wine with me, I swear to the heavens that I will also force out 1/3 of Miss Meng Dai's poison. How about it?" As he spoke, Mo took out a wine jug from her storage ring and filled it with wine. She pushed the glass and the glass slid towards Xiang Nan on the table. Xiang Nan didn't know what she was planning, but in order to save Dream Butterfly, he didn't care about anything. Seeing that the cup was sliding so fast that it was about to fall off the table, Xiang Nan stepped forward and gently hooked his finger with his right hand. The glass slowly slowed down and steadily descended from the edge of the table. Then, Xiang Nan gently raised his pinky and the glass flew towards him. Although the 30-odd martial artists hated Xiang Nan to the core, they couldn't help but clap their hands and applaud him. Xiang Nan's move seemed simple, but it was actually very difficult. The reason for that was because the wine in the cup was very likely to spill out. If the cup stopped too quickly or flew unsteadily, the wine in the cup must spill out. What a move! Mo Rushi smiled excitedly. With a wave of her right hand, an invisible yuan qi hooked onto the cup and forcefully snatched it from her. If Xiang Nan snatched it from her head-on, the cup would definitely be broken. He took a deep breath and let go of his flower finger first. Then, he took a step forward and pinched his finger with his right hand and suddenly twisted it. The cup was flying in Mo Rushi's direction, but it quickly spun. The wine inside turned into a whirlpool and directly flew into the air from the quilt. The whirlpool of wine gathered and did not disperse. With a hook of Xiang Nan's index finger, it quickly flew towards Xiang Nan. Xiang Nan had already slightly opened her mouth to suck the wine into her mouth, but Mo Rushi pounced over. Her alluring lips curled up as she rushed towards the whirlpool of wine. If Xiang Nan didn't stop, he would definitely kiss Mo Rushi. Xiang Nan could even smell her breath, and the faint fragrance was sprayed on Xiang Nan's face. Xiang Nan hurriedly turned his head and pointed with his right hand. The wine glass on the table flew over with a whoosh. It sliced past Mo Ru's lips and quickly put the wine back in. As for Mo Ru, she was about to suck the wine away, but this time, she held on to the base of the glass, and the mouth of the glass was aimed at Xiang Nan. Especially Mo Ru, who seemed to be seducing Xiang Nan intentionally, gently licked a pink tongue around the wine cup base and stared into Xiang Nan's eyes with a smile that was neither a smile nor a smile. Xiang Nan pulled his finger and the wine flew out of the cup, turning into a water snake and flying into his mouth. Mo Ru's hands glided, and the wine snake suddenly spiraled, turning around one by one. At this moment, Xiang Nan was suddenly stunned. His eyes looked at the spiral-shaped wine, as if he had lost his soul, and he stood there motionlessly. "Big brother!" Meng Dai cried out in alarm. Although her strength was gone, her eyesight was still there. Mo Ru had no intention of making a drinking agreement at all. She only used this reason to confuse Xiang Nan's consciousness with a strange technique. Kiki Kiki. Mo Ru laughed dissolutely and said, "Little friend Xiang, do you know how to use the fingerless tribulation finger?" Xiang Nan was dumbfounded, like a wooden man, and said, "Yes." "All right." Dong Wushang and Tan Buhui exchanged glances, both ecstatic. Mingyu Yuan and the others were shocked. Chapter 407 Activate Heavenly Thunder. "Aya, this is terrible." Meng Dai anxiously stomped her feet as she ran towards Xiang Nan, wanting to wake him up. As for Tan Buhui, his right hand shook. Swoosh 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 swoosh. Mo Rushi asked Xiang Nan, "You learned the phaseless tribulation finger, but the Buddhist mysterious technique phaseless tribulation finger? Is it not a counterfeit?" Xiang Nan murmured, "It's the Buddhist mysterious technique, the phaseless tribulation finger." "Who did you learn it from?" Mo Rushi asked again. Xiang Nan replied, "Feiyin Temple, martial uncle Tingjing." "He really is his martial uncle." Dong Wushang was stunned. He thought that Xiang Nan was lying, but he didn't expect it to be true. Tingjing. Tan Buhui and Mo Rushi both trembled in fright, but they quickly recovered. Tingjing was not here anyway, so what was there to be afraid of? The miraculous trick had bewitched Xiang Nan's mind, causing him to have questions and answers, and he could not disobey Mo Rushi's orders. But at this moment, the heaven-defying nine purities cosmos art began to circulate on its own. Xiang Nan's consciousness quickly became clear, as if he had just woken up from a dream. However, he realized his current situation and didn't show it. He still pretended to be charmed by Mo Ru. Mo Ru licked his lips and tossed out an empty sheepskin scroll and a brush. "Write down the incantation of the tribulation-free finger for me word by word," he said. Xiang Nan, wooden, opened the blank scroll, picked up the brush and began to write. Mingyu Yuan and the others were so envious that they almost went crazy. They didn't expect that the Buddhist sect's precious treasure's incantation would fall into the hands of Dong Wushang and the others. Xiang Nan did indeed write it. What he wrote was indeed the formless tribulation finger's incantation, but it wasn't complete. Instead, he wrote 2/3 of the incantation. The other third, he directly mixed in the 9 transformations of thunder-shocking incantation's incantation. The phaseless tribulation finger was a martial skill that could beg for death in itself, and the 9 transformations of thunder were also heaven-defying. Even the heavenly tribulation realm heavenly thunder martial king had been trained to death. Now that Xiang Nan has mixed the 2 incantations together, he sneered in his heart and killed all of you bastards. The little bird was connected to Xiang Nan. It stood on Xiang Nan's shoulder, its right eye narrowed slightly, and the corner of its eye flashed with a sinister light. "Good! Good!" After receiving the scroll, Mo Rushi looked up and laughed, "The tribulation finger is mine." Dong Wushang and Tan Buhui hurriedly moved forward and the 3 of them watched together. They did not doubt the authenticity of this incantation, but when they saw the profound and miraculous incantation domain, their eyes were wide open in shock, and they were on the verge of going mad with joy. "I have the incantation. Let me cut him off with one palm." Mo Ru raised his hand to kill Xiang Nan. This Mo Ru was at the 4th level of the heavenly Yuan realm. Although he was a level lower than Dong Wushang, he could easily kill Xiang Nan. "Wait!" Dong Wushang immediately stopped Mo Rushi and said, "Since the formless tribulation finger is the supreme treasure of Buddhism, it will definitely be very difficult to practice. Let's save this kid's life first. If we have something we can't comprehend, we can force him to reveal his experience. Brother Dong, you have considered everything thoroughly." Tan Buhui nodded in relief. Humph. Mo Rushi snorted coldly and took away his control over Xiang Nan, saying, "I'll let you live for a few more days, kid." That Dong Wushang lightly charged forward and struck Xiang Nan in the stomach with his palm. Xiang Nan spat out a mouthful of blood after being beaten and fell to the ground far away. That Dong Wushang sneered and said, "Brat, you've made me suppress my anger these past few days and treat you with courtesy. What a grievance. Now, scram over and stay with those trash. You no longer have the qualifications to stand beside me." "Good brother." Meng Dai hurriedly rushed over to help Xiang Nan up and asked with concern, "How are you?" Xiang Nan shook his head and said, "I just suffered internal injuries. My life is not in danger." Dream Butterfly turned to look at Dong Wushang. A cold light flashed in her eyes. It didn't matter what she did, but Dong Wushang had beaten Xiang Nan, and this matter had become an indelible hatred in her heart. "Hey, brother Xiang." Mingyu Yuan cupped her fists and smiled at Xiang Nan, "Now you and I are grasshoppers on the same rope." Xiang Nan ignored him and sat down cross-legged. As for Dong Wushang and the others, they didn't dare to delay for a moment and immediately began to cultivate the tribulation-free finger. The seductive man leaned towards Mo Rushi again, but was pushed away by Mo Rushi. He scolded coldly, "When is it? It doesn't matter whether it's important or not." The seductive man was so frightened that his face turned pale. He hurriedly took 2 steps back and wiped away his tears in grievance. Mo Rushi sighed and said, "Be good, don't cry. I'm the one who said it seriously. I'll make it up to you later tonight." Xiang Nan and the others felt a chill run down their spines. Dong Wushang, Tan Buhui, and Mo Rushi were all eccentric and unfathomable people. That Dong Wushang had the highest cultivation realm. He was at the 5th level of the heavenly Yuan realm, so he practiced the fastest. As for Tan Buhui, he was a master of the profound Tao. Although his cultivation realm was also at the 4th level of the heavenly Yuan realm, he was the slowest one to practice. Dong Wushang first cultivated the kung fu of the tribulation-free finger, but before he could reach the brink of death, he received the 9 transformations lightning shocking art. He himself did not know that there was deceit inside, so he continued to learn, but at this moment, the sky darkened without warning. After Dong Wushang cultivated for another minute, lightning flashed in the dark clouds in the sky. Thunderous rumbles echoed out, like the roars of a heaven-shrouding beast. After Dong Wushang cultivated for another minute, a thunderclap suddenly descended from the dark clouds. The thunderous rumble hit Dong Wushang right above his head. However, Dong Wushang was at the 5th level of the heavenly Yuan realm. He actually managed to persevere and said in horror, "This." Before he could finish speaking, the thunder in the dark clouds was like a violent storm, wildly bombarding Dong Wushang. The thunder was so dense that it was frightening, as if it was a heavenly lightning tribulation. Dong Wushang and the others were shocked and hurriedly ran around, but Jing Lei seemed to have eyes, chasing after Dong Wushang and hacking at him alone. Ah! Dong Wushang circulated his Yuan Qi to form a solid Yuan Qi shield. Thunder after thunder landed on the shield for a full 10 minutes before the dark clouds in the sky dissipated. As for Dong Wushang, he was panting heavily and said with a pale face, "This tribulation-free finger actually has the ability to trigger heavenly lightning?" Not only was Dong Wushang shocked, even Xiang Nan was dumbfounded. He didn't even know that the 9 transformations of thunder had such a function. "Strange," Xiang Nan muttered in his heart. The 9 transformations of thunder was indeed a method of absorbing the power of thunder and lightning. But when he was cultivating, he had never triggered heavenly lightning. Could it be because the 9 transformations of thunder that he cultivated was a complete cultivation technique? If he only cultivated a little, this kind of thing would happen. However, even though the heavenly lightning was powerful, it was still 108,000 li away from the divine lightning, so it couldn't be compared to the heavenly lightning. Chapter 408 Hijacking. Father, are you alright? Dong Lin hurriedly ran over. Back off. I'm fine. Dong Wushang took a deep breath and turned to look at Xiang Nan. Brat, you have learned the phaseless tribulation finger. You will definitely be able to withstand thunder. As he said that, he used his Yuan Qi to capture Xiang Nan and cultivate the phaseless tribulation finger again. Immediately after, dark clouds rolled in the sky, and lightning suddenly appeared. Following that, thunder descended from the sky, but Dong Wushang raised Xiang Nan above his head and asked Xiang Nan to be his meat shield. Many shocking lightning bolts struck Xiang Nan fiercely. Xiang Nan didn't care at all. His resistance to electricity was already exceptionally strong, and he didn't care about these ordinary lightning bolts at all. However, strange things happened one after another, and the thunder struck Xiang Nan's body. It actually made Xiang Nan feel that all of his flesh and blood seemed to have come back to life, and his Yuan Qi was still rising crazily. That Yuan Qi's growth speed was almost comparable to absorbing elementary spirit stones. It was more than 20 times faster than directly absorbing the heaven-earth spirit Qi. This Xiang Nan was overjoyed. He didn't expect the 9 transformations of thunder to have such an effect. He had never known before. It turned out that he could directly absorb heavenly lightning and convert it into Yuan Qi. With this move, he no longer had to worry about not having spirit stones to replenish his Yuan Qi. This unexpected harvest was something that Xiang Nan had never expected. Tan Buhui and Mo Ru didn't dare to continue cultivating. They just watched quietly from the side. When they saw this scene, they were all shocked. This kid really can withstand the attacks of heavenly lightning. But why did the phaseless tribulation finger trigger the heavenly thunder? It's truly an unfathomable skill. However, after seeing such a situation, the 3 of them felt relieved. As long as they cultivated the phaseless tribulation finger to a small success, they would be no longer afraid of heavenly thunder like Xiang Nan. With Xiang Nan as his meat shield, Dong Wushang continued to circulate his incantation. After Xiang Nan had absorbed enough heavenly thunder, his Yuan Qi was filled. After the next heavenly thunder landed on Xiang Nan, it would no longer have any effect on Xiang Nan. Although the lightning in the sky was dense, it was still inferior to the group lightning array. It should be the natural power of lightning in nature. At this moment, Dong Wushang suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood and fainted. What's going on? Mo Rushi's lips turned pale from fear. Tan Buhui said thoughtfully, it is indeed difficult to practice the phaseless tribulation finger. If you are not careful, you will go crazy. Don't worry, I will help old brother Dong recover. Tan Buhui waved his hand and blew Xiang Nan back into the crowd. When Dong Lin and Tan Tang walked over together, Dong Lin hatefully said, "It's all your fault for seriously injuring my father." As he spoke, Dong Lin punched Xiang Nan in the chest. Xiang Nan was also at the 5th level of the origin return stage. Furthermore, he was at the middle stage. Dong Lin used the 6th level of the origin return stage to heavily punch at Xiang Nan. With just 2 fingers, Xiang Nan easily blocked this punch. Dong Lin was furious and launched all sorts of attacks on Xiang Nan, all of which were easily caught by Xiang Nan. Mingyu Yuan and the others sneered. 10 experts besieged Xiang Nan, there is nothing you can do about it. You, Dong Lin, want to defeat Xiang Nan on your own. You're asking for trouble. Dong Lin was already out of breath, but he was no match for Xiang Nan, so he had nowhere to vent his anger. Brother Lin, do you think this girl is pretty? Tan Tang smiled and pointed at Dream Butterfly. Dong Lin said, Sister Candy, what do you think? Tan Tang said, I hate women who are prettier than me the most in my life. Look at her, she has a beautiful appearance, especially her pair of big eyes. It's hateful to look at her. Why don't we dig out her eyes? Dong Lin clapped his hands and said happily, very good. Tan Tang gathered her fingers together and condensed her essence into a sharp essence blade. She stabbed at Dream Butterfly's right eye. This little girl had a sweet appearance and a sweet name, but she did not expect that she would have the heart of a snake and scorpion at such a young age. How could Xiang Nan let her hurt Dream Butterfly? At this moment, Xiang Nan was burning with rage. He simply shot away to a palm. Xiang Nan's palm strike was heavy because of the new enmity and old hatred. Wei Tua Palm's palm pierced through Tan Tang's stomach. Tan Tang fell to the ground with a putong sound. His 4 ribs were broken inch by inch, and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Fortunately, she was at the 5th level of the origin return stage, otherwise, this palm strike would have undoubtedly killed her. Mingyu Yuan and the others were shocked. They didn't expect Xiang Nan to be so ruthless. There were still 3 experts at the Heaven Origin realm in the distance. Xiang Nan actually dared to hit Tan Tang. You! Dong Lin pointed at Xiang Nan in shock and said angrily, you dare. I dare your ancestor. Xiang Nan was ruthless, and he had already fought, so he decided to do it to the end. Xiang Nan jumped up and slapped Wei Tuo's palm towards Dong Lin. Dong Lin had already turned around to flee, but he was slapped on the back by Xiang Nan. An invisible palm force pierced through Dong Lin's body, spitting out from his stomach and smashing onto the ground. Dong Lin spat out a mouthful of blood and fell to the ground. Ah! In the distance, Tan Buhui and Mo Rushi were both shocked. They were trying to find a way to treat Dong Wushang's injuries, but they didn't expect that something big would happen here. Little bastard, you dare to hurt my disciple. Tan Buhui's eyes turned red as he flew into the air and was about to pounce on Xiang Nan. Xiang Nan grabbed Dong Lin and Tan Tang by the fingers and grabbed them by the throat. He said, try taking a step closer. Tan Buhui didn't dare to advance any further and shouted angrily, little bastard. I will tear you to pieces. Xiang Nan's expression was cold as he said, who are you trying to scare? If you dare to come near me, I will first cut your disciple into 10,000 pieces. Let's see whose hand is fast. No, no, no. Little friend Xiang, you can't do this. This is all a misunderstanding, said Dong Wushang, who had already woken up. Misunderstanding your grandmother. Xiang Nan put a bit of strength into his hand, and his pinched Dong Lin's face was as pale as pink, almost suffocating him to death. Xiang Nan gritted his teeth and said, I want to leave now. If you dare to catch up, I will drag the 2 of them to my grave. Dream Butterfly, let's go. Xiang Nan split out a strand of Yuan Qi and wrapped it around the Dream Butterfly. Then, he spread out his Yuan Qi feathered wings and flapped his wings as he flew into the sky. Mingyu Yuan and the others laughed loudly, wonderful. Wonderful. Let's go with Brother Xiang. The 30-odd martial artists were extremely excited. They all turned into rays of light, and in the span of a few jumps, they had already descended the mountain. Tanger. Tan Buhui's veins bulged with anxiety. Don't be afraid, said Dong Wushang coldly. I've already left a mark on that little beast. Even if he runs to the horizon, he won't be able to escape from my palm. In the distance, Xiang Nan didn't dare to fly at high altitudes. That would be too obvious, but when he flew at low altitudes in the forest, he discovered that Mingyu Yuan and the others had been following behind him. Why are you following me? Xiang Nan shouted coldly. You have a hostage, so it's safest to follow you. Brother Xiang, don't be angry anymore, Mingyu Yuan said with a playful smile. Let's write off all our grudges. In any case, the demon origin fruit has been completely absorbed by you. I have no reason to kill you. Besides, we are on the same boat now. After all, there are many people and great strength. What do you think? Ha, I have hostages, so you're following me? Xiang Nan sneered, why didn't you say I still have a mark on me? Follow me. You're all just greedy for the incantation of the tribulation-free finger, aren't you? Chapter 409 Impasse. Mingyu Yuan cupped her fists and said, Brother Xiang, I don't think we need to run anymore. With the strength of those 3 heavenly Yuan realm old monsters, catching up with us won't take much effort. The reason why they haven't come yet is because they're afraid that you will jump over the wall and hurt Dong Lin and Tan Tang. Therefore, we might as well rest for a while and think about our countermeasures. You're the dog. Meng Dai scolded, you are not only a dog, but also a white-eyed dog who refuses to recognize others. Mingyu Yuan smiled and said, I have made a mistake. Senior sister, don't be angry. What Xiang Nan wanted to do the most now was to shake off Mingyu Yuan and the others. These people were always following him with ill intentions. However, he couldn't think of a way to get rid of them for a while. If he fought, it wouldn't be easy for him to defeat 30 of them on his own. However, what Mingyu Yuan said was not without reason. Meng Dai, let's take a rest. Xiang Nan simply brought the dream butterfly down. How do you feel? Xiang Nan put her hand on Dream Butterfly's back and examined her injuries with concern. Meng Dai smiled sweetly, much better. That life-seizing miraculous doctor still has some skills. He really dispelled a third of the green fire poison for me. Xiang Nan felt relieved and said guiltily, I implicated you. If you hadn't waited for me, you wouldn't have ended up like this. Meng Dai said, Good brother, please don't say such words. It was all of my own free will. Furthermore, Meng Dai lowered her head and chuckled, These days, I have been unconscious from poisoning. Every time I fainted, I would dream about how gentle you treated me when we were in the northern wilderness. Now that you've saved me without caring about my life, I feel that sweet again. Not to mention that I'm just poisoned, even if I die today, I'm satisfied. Why are you so stupid? Xiang Nan sighed. This trip has a dangerous future. Life and death are hard to predict. Since you sacrificed your life to help me take a palm strike, even if I die with you, I will not regret it. It's a pity that I couldn't save those missing children from the drunken immortal pavilion in the end. It's still a pity in my heart. Meng Dai laughed, I've already found the 8-armed heavenly Yao and helped you rescue those children. I sent them to the Central Plains. Otherwise, why do you think I knew you were in Feiyin Temple? Hearing this, Xiang Nan was overjoyed, really? Thank you so much. I'm worried about this. Meng Dai said, let's not talk about that. Let's first look at the imprint that Dong Wushang left on your heart and see if it can be dispersed. Xiang Nan opened his shirt and saw the skeletal mark on his chest. He tried to use the 9 Purities Cosmos skill to remove the mark, but found it impossible to do so. Brother Xiang, there's no need to waste your effort. Mingyu Yuanyuan said, that mark is obviously a kind of evil martial skill. Even Dong Wushang needs to accumulate energy for a long time before he can leave it on your body. I'm afraid you won't be able to disperse unless your cultivation surpasses Dong Wushang's. What he said is correct. Xiang Nan shook his head and said to Dream Butterfly, this mark contains Dong Wushang's Yuan Qi. Only if my Yuan Qi is stronger than Dong Wushang's Yuan Qi can I remove it. Mingyu Yuanyuan said, Brother Xiang, if you leave this mark, I'm afraid it's impossible for you to leave the western regions alive. You're going to die, so why don't you teach me the incantation of the tribulation-free finger? Senior Sister Meng Dai, you should also persuade Brother Xiang. If we can obtain the formless tribulation finger's incantation, it will be a great contribution to our sacred sect. You want to learn my tribulation-free finger? Xiang Nan sneered and pointed his fingers at Mingyu Yuan. Brother Xiang, don't be angry. I'm joking. I'm joking. Haha. Mingyu Yuan's expression changed and he hurriedly smiled apologetically. Little bastard, I advise you to let us go. Dong Lin sat by the side and scolded angrily, otherwise, my father won't let you off. I will definitely make sure you don't beg for death. Meng Dai slapped Dong Lin's face and said, who are you calling a little bastard? Let me cut off your tongue. As she spoke, Meng Dai took out a dagger and stabbed it into Dong Lin's mouth without hesitation. That Dong Lin was so frightened that he cried out loudly, while Dream Butterfly giggled non-stop. It was a pity that Dream Butterfly didn't have any strength at this moment. She couldn't even compare to an ordinary mortal. With her arm strength, she twisted her lips in Dong Lin's mouth for a long time, but she couldn't cut Dong Lin's tongue. However, this way, Dong Lin was much more honest. He knew that the secular disciple of the Feiyin Temple, Xiang Nan, was not that ferocious, but this Dream Butterfly was not at all certain. Meng Dai lowered her voice to Xiang Nan and said, Good big brother, do you think the three old fellows will have any gaps with each other? Xiang Nan suddenly understood what Dream Butterfly meant, but he shook his head and said, I think it's very difficult. He whispered, You see, Dong Wushang's method of absorbing other people's vitality should have been learned from Tan Bu Hui, and Dong Lin's skill of harvesting yin and tonifying yang must have come from Mo Rusher. That's right. Meng Dai nodded, the three of them have a good relationship with each other. They are willing to teach each other their martial arts and techniques. It is indeed not easy to provoke them. Right at this moment, for shadows suddenly descended from the sky and transformed into Dong Wushang's group. Xiang Nan knew that he would definitely be caught up to and did not panic. Lin Lin, how are you? Dong Wushang asked with concern, but seeing Xiang Nan's cold expression, he didn't dare to move forward. Father! Dong Lin suddenly cried out, this child is so scared. Father, quickly save this child. Dong Wushang's eyes turned red as he said sadly, Good child, don't be afraid. Father will definitely think of a way to save you. As he spoke, Dong Wushang glared at Xiang Nan and shouted, Little friend Xiang, quickly let go of my son. I promise to spare your life. You think I'll believe you? Xiang Nan sneered. Brother Dong. Mo Rushi said, In my opinion, if the three of us join forces and attack together, with our cultivation base, we might be able to rescue Lin Lin before that brat attacks him. Totally nonsense. Dong Wushang was furious, it's not like your son was captured. If your little lover was taken hostage, I'll see if you dare to say that. At this moment, there was a burst of footsteps in the forest. A man and a woman walked out. The man was handsome and dignified, while the woman had beautiful features and was extremely beautiful. The man clapped his hands and applauded, "Senior Black Forest Heavenly Fiend Dong Wushang, it turns out that you also have such a tender side. It's truly admirable, admirable." This man and woman were both at the 7th level of the Origin Return realm. Judging from their auras, they knew that their strengths were extraordinary and should still be above Mingyu Yuan's. Dong Wushang frowned and said, "Such steady and strong Yuan Qi fluctuations are rare. Who exactly are you two?" The man and woman exchanged a glance before cupping their fists and smiling at Dong Wushang. "I'm Tang Zheng, this is my junior sister, Leng Wuyi. The two of us are from the 9 Firmaments continent, the Profound Sky Sect." Chapter 410 5 Phoenixes Stepping on the Heavens. The Profound Sky Sect. Everyone was shocked. The Heavenly Profound Sect was incredible. That was the leader of the 8 great sections. Especially since the engagement of the Black-Green Bamboo and the Flying Cloud Sect's Flying Cloud Sea, the Heavenly Profound Sect was at its peak. For a time, the limelight was unparalleled. Dong Wushang was also quite fearful of the Profound Sky Sect. He said, "What are you doing here? There is no matter of the Profound Sky Sect here, hurry up and leave." Tang Zheng smiled and said, The Profound Sky Sect intends to get to know the heroes of the world. This time, I came to the Western regions to form an alliance with the experts of the Western regions. I've heard that the Black Wind Heavenly Fiend is quite famous in the Western regions. May I ask if Senior Dong is willing to be loyal to our Heavenly Profound Sect? Oh. Dong Wushang was immediately tempted. He was very unpopular in the Western regions. If he could find a great backer like the Profound Sky Sect today, it would be beneficial and harmless. Just as he was speaking, Tang Zheng and Leng Wuyi exchanged glances. Tang Zheng suddenly attacked Xiang Nan without warning. This Tang Zheng's movements were unrestrained, as if he was a seagull flying close to the surface of the sea. This kind of identity was very strange, giving off a very slow feeling, but in reality, his speed was very fast. Everyone watched helplessly. Tang Zheng had just rushed out and was still halfway forward. But suddenly, an illusion appeared in their eyes. By the time they saw it clearly, Tang Zheng had already arrived in front of Xiang Nan. This Tang Zheng was still chatting with Xuanzong 1 moment ago, but in the next moment, he suddenly attacked, leaving Xiang Nan completely unprepared. Xiang Nan didn't even have time to pull out his saber, so it was convenient for Tang Zheng to clash his palms head-on. "Heavenly Weathering Feather Palm!" Tang Zheng shouted. Xiang Nan faced Wei Tuo's palm. When the two palms collided, Xiang Nan immediately felt that the Yuan Qi in Tang Zheng's body was so thick and old. Tang Zheng also raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Xiang Nan's Yuan Qi to be so domineering. The two of them clashed and took 7 or 8 steps back at the same time. "What are you doing? Stop! Don't hurt my son." Dong Wushang did not expect Tang Zheng to suddenly make a move and immediately shouted out in fear. As Xiang Nan retreated, he pulled Dong Lin to his side with his flower finger, grabbed Dong Lin's throat with his left hand, and said, "If you dare to take another step forward, I'll kill him." Tang Zheng faintly smiled, "If you want to kill me, then kill me. What does it have to do with me?" Xiang Nan's heart sank. It was obviously useless to threaten Tang Zheng with Dong Lin. Moreover, the heavenly weathering feather palm Tang Zheng used was a very classic palm technique of the Heavenly Profound Sect, belonging to a powerful high-tier earth grade. As for the Wei Tuo's palm that Xiang Nan used, it was a growth-type martial skill. As the martial artist's strength increased, it would also increase. Therefore, no matter if it was the way Tuo's palm or Mo Ko pointed, there was no grade division. However, from the looks of it, Wei Tuo palm released by Xiang Nan was only comparable to the high-grade heavenly weathering feather palm. Young, shocking strength. Not bad, not bad. Tang Zheng pointed with his right hand and shouted, "Burning Heaven Finger." The Burning Heaven Finger was also a powerful martial skill of the Profound Sky sect. This finger pointed out that the origin energy finger was actually divided into 3 colors. Both the front and back were white, and the middle was yellow. Xiang Nan pointed at Mo Ku pointed and used his middle finger to exert force. The fierce flame finger force collided with the Burning Heaven Finger once. Rumble. When the fingers collided, there were actually 3 explosions. The 3-colored heaven burning finger had 3 layers of dark energy. Xiang Nan and Tang Zheng took another 3 steps back. Mingyu Yuan and the others were stunned. This Tang Zheng is actually comparable to Xiang Nan. Mingyu Yuan was shocked. The rest of the crowd also found it inconceivable. They understood Xiang Nan's strength the best. The top 10 experts were unable to take down Xiang Nan, and Tang Zheng was inextricably linked to Xiang Nan with just one person. Tang Zheng's strength was simply too frightening. But Tang Zheng did not think so. He frowned. He fought against Xiang Nan, who was at the 5th level of the Origin Realm with the 7th level of the Origin Realm, and only then did he fight evenly. This was not glorious at all. Good boy. The foundation of martial arts is actually so stable. Xiang Nan frowned and said, "The heavenly weathering feather palm and the burning heaven finger are both high-grade earth grades. Even in a place like the Profound Sky sect where geniuses are like crucian carps, there is only 1 person out of 100 who can cultivate them. But you've learned both of these martial skills. It's not simple either. You have a deep understanding of our heavenly Profound sect's martial skills." Tang Zheng raised his right hand and said, "The Buddhist profound art is not simple either. However, how about you try this move?" As he spoke, Tang Zheng shouted, "Feng Fei Yang." As he spoke, 2 strands of Yuan Qi suddenly rushed out from Tang Zheng's hand. These 2 strands of Yuan Qi were one red and one yellow. Yellow essence was earth-attributed. When this essence absorbed earth-attributed power, a large amount of dust was frantically absorbed and condensed into an earth phoenix. The earth phoenix suddenly flashed and turned into a silver phoenix. The red Yuan Qi was fire-attributed. This fire-attributed Yuan Qi condensed on the silver phoenix, causing the phoenix to instantly ignite a raging fire. Following Tang Zheng's palm strike, the burning silver phoenix immediately let out a cry that pierced through the 9 heavens and rushed straight towards Xiang Nan. In that instant, Xiang Nan felt as if he had been struck by lightning. His entire body was stunned, his face carrying an incomparably painful expression. By the time Xiang Nan reacted, the silver fire phoenix had already arrived in front of him. It was only 5 meters away from Xiang Nan. With the silver fire phoenix's speed, this distance could be ignored, leaving Xiang Nan with no time to react. Mo Ko finger, thumb and middle finger must not have enough time to release. Xiang Nan seemed to suddenly wake up, quickly with his index finger, towards the silver phoenix. 3 fingers. 3 fire marks struck the silver fire phoenix's head, but it only made the silver fire phoenix a little smaller. The silver phoenix quickly smashed into Xiang Nan's predecessor. The phoenix's flames instantly burned Xiang Nan into a fiery figure, while the phoenix itself turned silver, wrapping around Xiang Nan's entire body. At first glance, Xiang Nan was wrapped in silver, like a sculpture made of silver. However, what was even more shocking was that the silver was wrapped around Xiang Nan and the flames. In other words, Xiang Nan was being burned by the flames inside the surface of the silver. This scene was extremely terrifying. With silver wrapping around Xiang Nan and the flames, even if Xiang Nan wanted to disperse the flames, he would not be able to disperse them. He could only be wrapped inside and endure the pain of burning. This time, not only Mingyu Yuan and the others, but also Dong Wushang and the others were shocked. There is such a marvelous martial skill in the world. 2 variables in one move. This is truly eye-opening, said Dong Wushang in shock. Good brother. Meng Dai rushed forward desperately to save Xiang Nan, but when her hands touched the silver sculpture, the boiling silver immediately made Meng Dai scream miserably and hurriedly withdrew her hands. Right at this moment, the silver sculpture suddenly exploded with a loud boom. Immediately after, the flames that filled the sky were carried into the sky by a surge of yuan qi. Xiang Nan walked out of the middle and shouted through gritted teeth, 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens. What exactly is your relationship with Xian Qingzhu? Chapter 411. The past is like smoke. A moment ago, when Xiang Nan was trapped by the silver phoenix, Mingyu Yuan hurriedly said, he wants to steal a hostage. Stop him. Mingyu Yuan was the first to charge forward. Immediately after, the people from the Black Flag, Red Tiger, and Primordial Chaos sect also reacted. Everyone went to fight for Dong Lin and Tan Tang. Leng Wuye took a step forward and shouted, Phoenix returns to nest. Leng Wuye also condensed 2 rays of yuan qi light, 1 blue and 1 white. Blue was water-attributed power, while white was wind-attributed power. Blue yuan qi condensed into a water phoenix, while wind-attributed yuan qi transformed into countless yuan qi feathers and stabbed into the water phoenix's body. Immediately after, the water phoenix raised its head to the sky, and its body suddenly spun rapidly, charging into the sky. Mingyu Yuan and the other 9 experts were completely devoured by the attraction of the water phoenix. The water phoenix spun and soared into the sky, and the attraction of the phoenix engulfed all 9 experts, bringing them into the sky. Immediately after, the water phoenix used even faster speed to store all 9 experts into its body. The water phoenix turned around, including 9 experts, and fiercely dived down. Boom! The water phoenix exploded into 9 large water balls. There was an expert trapped in every water ball. The 9 people were wrapped in water balls, unable to rush out at all. They were unable to breathe and their faces turned red. The feathers of the wind elemental energy shot into the water balls and frantically cut through the bodies of the 9 people. Don't kill them. I'm still useful. Dong Wushang hurriedly said. As Dong Wushang spoke, he had already used his yuan qi to pull Dong Lin and Tan Tang back. Leng Wuye smiled faintly. She waved her hand and the 9 water balls immediately disappeared. Mingyu Yuan and the others fell down from inside. They were all cut to pieces, lying on the ground moaning in pain. At this time, Xiang Nan also came out of the sculpture and angrily said to Tang Zheng, 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens. What exactly is your relationship with Xian Qingzhu? At this moment, it was Tang Zheng and Leng Wuye's turn to be shocked. Then Tang Zheng asked curiously, how did you know the name of this martial skill? 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens? After Dong Wushang saved his son, he no longer had any worries. He also asked curiously, what kind of martial skill is this? It's really amazing. Tan Buhui and Mo Rushi nodded their heads and praised, the heavenly profound sex martial skills are truly amazing. Tang Jing smiled and said, there's no harm in telling you. The martial skill that junior sister Leng and I used is indeed called the Five Phoenix Stepping on the Heavens. At this point, Tang Zheng cupped his fists towards the sky and said, "This Five Phoenix treading the heavens was created by our Heaven's Profound sect's chief disciple, Bai Mukan. Back then, Bai Mukan created the Five Phoenix treading the heavens with a genius that swept across the world and gave it to Xian Qingzhu as a gift." Bai Mukan. Everyone was shocked, and Dong Wushang's eyes flashed with light. But the number one genius in the starry sky. I didn't expect little friend Tang to be lucky enough to learn Bai Mukan's martial skill. It's truly enviable. Tang Zheng smiled proudly and said, "However, it's a pity that this Five Phoenix treading the heavens requires 5 different Yuan Qi attributes in order to display its maximum power. I'm not talented. I only have 2 talents, Earth Grade Earth Vein and Earth Grade Fire Vein." Later, I was honored to be taught a few moves by senior sister Xian Qingzhu, Five Phoenix Stepping on the Heavens. I've already traveled the world. Within the same realm, it's hard to encounter an opponent. Following Tang Zheng's description, Xiang Nan's expression was painful and his heart twisted like a knife. The past is as vivid as yesterday. So dual meridian talent can learn such a powerful martial skill. Dong Wushang was overjoyed and said, "My son, Dong Lin, also has the talent of Earth Grade Dual Meridians. If I submit to the Profound Sky Sect, can little friend Tang teach Lin 1.5 moves of the 5 Phoenixes stepping on the heavens?" 2 Meridians talent, terrifying. Innate talent was first divided by the number of meridians, and then by grade. For example, a mortal grade dual meridian was definitely stronger than a spirit grade single meridian, and an earth grade dual meridian was also stronger than a heaven grade single meridian. In other words, although Dong Lin's innate talent was earth grade, because he had dual meridians, his innate talent was still stronger than that of a single heaven grade meridian. As for Xiang Nan's talent for divine grade, it was another matter. Divine grade was an unexplored domain, and the word divine represented an all-encompassing existence with limitless possibilities. Senior Dong. Then Tang Zheng cupped his fists and said, "Since you have already submitted to the Profound Sky Sect, then we are our own family. I still have some use for keeping this Xiang Nan. I can't kill it now. What do you think? Since little friend Tang is pleading for mercy, then I'll listen to you." "It just so happens that I can use him as well," said Dong Wushang. "All right. I'll take down Xiang Nan now and give it to Senior Dong." As he spoke, Tang Zheng raised his right hand and shouted, "Phoenix returns to the nest." 2 strands of Yuan Qi, 1 yellow and 1 red, quickly began to condense into the shape of a phoenix. As for Xiang Nan, his eyes were ice cold, and his hands connected to his fingers. The phoenix that was condensing was actually being rapidly decomposed. It turned into specks of light in the sky. "What?" Tang Zheng was shocked and cried out, "When my 5 phoenix treading the heavens condensed, it possessed an unfathomable power of devouring ghosts and gods. Anyone who used Yuan Qi to break the condensation process of the phoenix would be absorbed and become a part of the phoenix itself. How did you dismantle my phoenix return nest?" Xiang Nan's eyes narrowed slightly, and there was only boundless hatred in his heart. "What kind of grandson are you pretending to be? The founder of 5 Phoenix stepping on the heavens is standing here. If you attack Xiang Nan with 5 Phoenix stepping on the heavens, wouldn't you be playing tricks?" In this life, Xiang Nan only had 1 divine grade lightning meridian's talent. Otherwise, if he cultivated the 5 Phoenix heaven trampling technique, he would definitely be the most powerful. It's not possible. Leng Wuye refused to believe it. She threw out 2 strands of Yuan Qi to condense the water phoenix. Xiang Nan then used his flower fingers to quickly disintegrate the unformed water phoenix into countless spots of light. Ah! Tang Zheng and Leng Wuye both took a step back and said in disbelief, "What a living ghost. My big senior brother Bai Mukan is extremely talented. The 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens that he personally created can actually be divided up by someone." Dong Wushang also felt that it was strange, but in order to give the two of them face, he cupped his fists and said, "Perhaps the time the two of you spent studying 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens is still short. In some places, you are not very skilled." Tang Zheng and Leng Wuye exchanged glances, both of them deeply convinced. "All right, little friend Xiang." Dong Wushang said to Xiang Nan, "I know you want to escape into the Devil Sea, but there are still 6 days left before the Devil Sea opens. You are already a turtle in a jar, so you should come back with us honestly. Don't force me to kill your little lover." Xiang Nan gritted his teeth and had nothing to say. "Little friend Tang, little friend Leng, please." Dong Wushang waved his hand and swept Xiang Nan and his group of 30+ people with his yuan qi before returning to Tan Buhui's manor. When Tang Zheng and Leng Wuye heard the word Devil Sea, their eyes lit up and they followed along. Chapter 412 Snake Scorpion Beautiful Heart. After returning to Tan Buhui's manor, Dong Wushang discussed with Tang Zheng, "Will you teach my son Dong Lin the 5 phoenix heaven trampling martial skill? I'm willing to use the formless tribulation fingers incantation to exchange for it." "Oh." Tang Zheng was overjoyed. "Do you have the formless tribulation fingers incantation? That's great. Originally, I saved Xiang Nan's life for this incantation. Since that's the case, then Xiang Nan will be a future trouble. He should just kill him with a single blade." Tang Zheng hated Xiang Nan very much. He hated that Xiang Nan was lower than him, but he could only draw with Xiang Nan. "No." Dong Wushang shook his head and said, "The phaseless tribulation finger is extremely difficult to practice. As far as I know, Xiang Nan is the only one who is still alive in the world who has truly learned the phaseless tribulation finger. He must have a trick. So that's how it is." Senior Dong has considered everything thoroughly. Tang Zheng suddenly came to a realization and said to Leng Wuye, "Junior sister, the two of us have really made a profit this time." Although Song Mingqing had already returned to the profound sky sect with the formless tribulation finger art, it was impossible for such a profound martial skill to be taught to his disciples. It must have been learned by the elders. Disciples like Tang Zheng and the others didn't dare to ask the elders for it, so they could only think of a way to snatch it from Xiang Nan. However, what they didn't know was that Song Mingqing's incantation was fake, and Dong Wushang's incantation was also fake. "Miss Meng Dai, I have a tier 5 life continuing pill here. You can eat it. It will be good for you." Dong Wushang took out a porcelain bottle and poured out a pill. Meng Dai took the pill and couldn't help but laugh in her heart. The real-life continuing pill had already been exchanged by him with a poison pill. Dong Wushang didn't know. The pill that Dong Wushang had given him was not the poison pill that he had left in the bottle. Obviously, Dong Wushang wanted to poison himself and threaten Xiang Nan. Lin, it seems that Miss Meng Dai doesn't believe how good this pill is. Take one and show it to her." Dong Lin also took out a porcelain bottle and poured out a pill to swallow. What he ate was the dream butterfly's poison pill. Meng Dai's heart almost burst into laughter, but she pretended to be like a model and said, "This pill is so precious, I'd better not eat it anymore." "It doesn't matter. Eat it. I'll give you a life-continuing pill. It can be considered as shaking hands with little friend Xiang." There's no need. I'm already poisoned. It's a waste to eat anything. When Dong Wuxiang saw that dream butterfly refused to eat, he had no choice but to do something to her, for fear that it would make Xiang Nan angry. Little friend Xiang, come. Dong Wuxiang called Xiang Nan over and said, there are some parts of this formless tribulation finger that we don't understand. I hope you can give me some pointers. If not, I would have disregarded the face of my elders and attacked Miss Meng Dai. Sure, if you don't understand, just ask. Xiang Nan said. The three of them were delighted. Dong Wuxiang hurriedly greeted Tang Zheng and the other two and said, little friends, listen together and learn together. Tang Zheng said happily, all right. Let's learn it together. In a moment, I will step on the heavens with the 5 phoenix and impart 2 moves to old brother Dong Lin. Both sides were delighted and immediately gathered together to ask Xiang Nan. The first thing they couldn't understand was the first half of the formless tribulation finger. Xiang Nan did not hold back and told them everything. That Dong Wuxiang's realm was extremely high, and Tan Buhui and Mo Rushi were proficient in profound Tao. They could be said to be knowledgeable and knowledgeable. The three of them carefully distinguished Xiang Nan's explanation and found that everything Xiang Nan said could really explain the incantation clearly. Only then did they feel relieved. However, the key point was that the second half of the incantation was not the tribulation finger, but the 9 transformations of thunder. Xiang Nan also explained the meaning of the second half of the incantation to them. The three of them distinguished it and discovered that what Xiang Nan said was also true. Using Xiang Nan's explanation to understand the incantation was indeed incomparably thorough. Looks like this kid is really afraid that Dream Butterfly will be killed, so he honestly translated the incantation. Dong Wu was sad and secretly delighted. Stinky girl, I'm going to dig out your eyes. On the other side, Tan Tang suddenly cursed angrily. Tan Tang's hands condensed Yuan Qi, but she still wanted to dig out Dream Butterfly's eyeballs. Stop! Xiang Nan said angrily, if you dare to make a move, don't even think about letting me decipher the incantation. Tang Tang! Tan Buhui shouted, don't be rude to Miss Meng Dai. I'm not happy. Tan Tang's cheeks bulged with anger. She looked so cute that she said, it's fine not to dig out her eyes, but she has to serve me. Go, bring me some tea. Meng Dai glanced coldly at Tan Tang, then went to make a cup of tea and delivered it to Tan Tang. Tan Tang held the tea and splashed it all over Dream Butterfly's face. You! Meng Dai gritted her teeth angrily. How is it? Tan Tang raised her chin and said, you dare to get angry? Go and pour me another cup. Meng Dai endured her anger and could only pour a cup of tea. Tan Tang took the teacup and splashed it on Meng Dai's face, but this time, Meng Dai had dodged it in advance. I'm not happy. Tan Tang raised her eyebrows in anger, but she couldn't really do anything to Dream Butterfly. She could only vent her anger on others. Tan Tang pulled out a disciple of the primordial chaos sect and slapped the man's face more than a dozen times. The disciple's cheeks were swollen and his nose and mouth were bleeding. I'm still unhappy. Tan Tang kicked the disciple to the ground and shouted, bark like a dog. The disciple of the primordial chaos sect was humiliated and said angrily, I won't learn. Quickly learn. Tan Tang kicked the disciple in the crotch 1 foot at a time, causing the disciple to roll all over the ground and howl miserably, I don't want to learn. I won't learn. Seeing such a scene, everyone's hearts went cold. Leng Wuye covered his mouth and smiled, little sister Tang Tang, it's fine if he doesn't learn. why don't you dig out his eyes to relieve his hatred? The primordial chaos sect disciple was so scared that his body trembled. He glared at Leng Wuya angrily and said, You are so ruthless. Huh, that's right. Tan Tang happily clapped her hands and said, I can't dig into that stinking girl's eyes. Can't I dig into you? As she spoke, Tan Tang unexpectedly pulled out the 2 eyeballs of the disciple of the primordial chaos sect. She held her 2 eyeballs and laughed happily as if she had obtained the best toy. As for the disciple of the primordial chaos sect, he lay on the ground and rolled in pain. He covered his black eyes and kept screaming miserably. Xiang Nan. The primordial chaos sect disciple was in pain when he suddenly shouted angrily, Why didn't you kill me during the chaotic battle in the forest? Why did you leave me alive to suffer this humiliation? I would rather be killed by you openly than be humiliated by them. As he spoke, the primordial chaos sect disciple raised his right hand and slapped his forehead, killing himself on the spot. Chapter 413 People Under the Eaves. At this moment, Mingyu Yuan felt regret in her heart. Why did she covet the tribulation-free finger? If she had been separated from Xiang Nan when she escaped, she would not have been captured back. At this time, everyone recalled Xiang Nan's good intentions. Although they hated Xiang Nan, at least Xiang Nan was an honest man. Even if they were killed by Xiang Nan did not insult them. Instead, he allowed them, who were martial artists, to die by the edge of the saber, instead of being humiliated to death by Tan Tang. You learn. Tan Tang grabbed another primordial chaos sect disciple and shouted, Today, I will definitely listen to the bark of a dog. The primordial chaos sect disciple was kneeling on the ground. He buried his face on the ground angrily and whispered 2 dog barks. However, the tears of humiliation had already mixed with the soil. Only then did Tan Tang become happy. Come, little sister Tang Tang. Tang Zheng called for Tan Tang and Dong Lin to come over and said, I will teach you 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens. The more meridians a martial artist has, the more powerful they will be. Although Tang Tang only has 1 meridian talent, she is still much more powerful than an ordinary martial skill after learning the 5 phoenix heaven stepping technique. Dong Wushang and the others continued to press Xiang Nan for the incantation of the finger of tribulation. Every time Xiang Nan translated a paragraph for them, they stopped to carefully study and comprehend it. On this side, Tang Zheng was responsible for teaching Dong Lin and Tan Tang how to learn the 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens. Dong Lin's talent was earth grade water and earth veins. The main body of the phoenix he condensed was water, supplemented by wood attributes. The phoenix he released was blue, and its surface was covered in green light. Tang Zheng slapped the water phoenix with his palm. The water phoenix immediately collapsed by a third, but then the phoenix began to recover on its own. Tang Zheng praised, although the power of the water and soil veins is lacking, the wood veins have long-term sustainability, allowing you to extend the duration of a move by several times. Thank you, Big Brother Tang, for your guidance. Dong Lin was extremely happy. Tang Zheng smiled and said, You have just learned and your power is not enough, but your talent is very good. As long as you diligently cultivate for 1.5 years, you will surely achieve a small success. Now, you can go and practice with those people. Dong Lin was extremely happy. He immediately grabbed a disciple of the primordial chaos sect who had previously barked like a dog and fought with him. When Dong Lin condensed the water phoenix, the disciple of the primordial chaos sect also wanted to learn from Xiang Nan and break the water phoenix down. However, he didn't know much about the 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens. Once he struck the water phoenix would become bigger and more powerful. When the water phoenix was fully formed, it ferociously pounced towards the disciples of the primordial chaos sect. However, the phoenix's condensed strength was not solid enough. It was obviously not proficient enough. The primordial chaos sect disciple used all of his strength and slapped the water phoenix's forehead. It was actually sent flying backwards by the phoenix and spat out a large mouthful of blood. As for the half-dozen water phoenix, it also collapsed on its own. Everyone was shocked. The 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens was actually so Dong Lin had only just learned how to injure an expert at the 6th level of the primordial chaos sect in less than an hour. However, the disciples of the primordial chaos sect had already rushed over and were about to kill Dong Lin with a single punch. Dong Lin was not proficient enough. He was in a hurry and didn't know how to deal with it. At this moment, Dong Wushang suddenly rushed over and grabbed the head of the disciple of the primordial chaos sect, turning him into a dried corpse. "Here, Lin Lin." Dong Wushang handed the ball of light to Dong Lin and said gently, "Follow your big brother Tang well." N. Dong Lin nodded forcefully. Seeing these people being so shameless and heartless, Xiang Nan's heart was already filled with anger. In the next 3 days, Dong Wushang and the others focused on cultivating the tribulation-free finger. If there was anything they didn't understand, they would ask Xiang Nan. If they attracted heavenly lightning, they would use their Yuan Qi to resist. On the other hand, Dong Lin and Tan Tang learned from the 5 phoenix stepping on the heavens. Every time they improved, they would catch a disciple of the primordial chaos sect to practice. If they were to lose and fall into danger, then Dong Wushang would charge forward and kill the disciple of the primordial chaos sect on the spot with a single palm. There were only a few disciples of the primordial chaos sect. In the past 3 days, they had already killed almost all of them, leaving behind only the last expert at the 7th level of the primordial chaos sect. It was not appropriate for a 7th level origin returning expert to accompany Dong Lin in practicing. The strength of both sides was not at the same level. Dong Wushang aimed his target at Red Tiger. Anyway, Dong Wushang had already submitted to the Profound Sky sect. With such a big backer, he no longer had to fear the Red Tiger. Following that, the Scarlet Tiger's people were also humiliated and tortured to death. On the 4th day, there were still 2 days left before the opening of the Devil Sea. Dong Wushang found 2 more Devil Sea tokens from the young man who was killed and gave them to Tang Zheng and Leng Wuyi as gifts. In the past few days, Meng Dai had been asked to serve Dong Lin and Tan Tang, serve them tea and water, and massage their muscles and bones. More ruthlessly, the seductive man who followed Mo Rushi actually liked not only women, but also men. Relying on Mo Rushi, he always looked for an opportunity to pick out a pleasing young martial artist and insult those handsome martial artists as if they were women. All of the young martial artists were nervous. They had escaped Dong Lin and Tan Tang, but they might not be able to escape the seductive man. In the world of martial arts, the strong eat the weak. In these past few days, as a martial artist, human dignity had been trampled to the limit. Once he entered the martial Tao, his life and death would be unavoidable. The weak had no right to speak in front of the strong. Their dignity and personality were like mud on the ground that could be trampled on wantonly. The world of martial arts has always been cruel. In the past, it was like this, now, and in the future. The 5th day. Dong Wushang stretched his muscles and bones and said, "There is still one last day before the Demon Sea opens. It should be the morning after tomorrow. Brother Tan, Brother Mo, little friend Tang, why don't we go now?" Tang Jing nodded and cupped his fists. "Thank you, Senior Dong, for your generous gift of the Devil Sea token. However, these useless martial artists are still more than 20 people alive. What should we do with them? Rushi smiled and said, the Devil Sea is extremely mysterious. I wonder what kind of scene is inside. Perhaps there will be a mechanical danger. We might as well bring these little beasts into the Devil Sea together. If we encounter any danger, we can let them take the lead and act as shields. Yes. Dong Wushang greatly praised, I've checked, there are 26 Devil Sea tokens on these little beasts. In the past few days, some of them have been killed, and the remaining people just happen to be one person. Let's bring them to the Demon Sea. As he spoke, everyone laughed loudly. Dong Wushang rolled up more than 20 young martial artists and flew towards the west. Along the way, Dong Wushang and the others were still looking for an opportunity to ask Xiang Nan about the incantation. Tang Jing said, this tribulation-free finger is indeed difficult to practice. Based on our perceptions, we have actually learned it for several days without finding the right path. Senior Dong, I'm afraid that Xiang Nan is unwilling to teach him. He must be hiding something. It's time to teach him a lesson. Along the way, let young Master Su Qing have the dream butterfly for fun. Haha. Su Qing was the seductive man who followed Rushi. Chapter 414 Disease. Tang Jing didn't want to wait for too long, fearing that something unexpected would happen in the Devil Sea, so he wanted to get the explanation of the formless tribulation finger's incantation immediately. While threatening Xiang Nan, he sent Su Qing over to Dream Butterfly, wanting that abnormal Su Qing to insult Dream Butterfly. Xiang Nan narrowed his eyes and stood in front of the Dream Butterfly. At this time, Mingyu Yuan and the others sincerely admired Xiang Nan's courage. Xiang Nan was alone, and he was actually not afraid of the three great experts. He actually had the posture of opening his mouth if he didn't agree. No, 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 no. Dong Wushang hurriedly stood up and pretended to be a good person. Then Dong Wushang stopped Tang Jing first, and then said to Xiang Nan earnestly, little friend Xiang, I think you should copy out all the notes of the incantations. I can still help you stop them now. If you insist on not copying them, I'm afraid I won't be able to help you anymore. What are you pretending to be? Xiang Nan said in a deep voice, stop pretending to be red-faced and black-faced. I will translate whatever incantation you want these days. In the end, are you going to use this method to repay me? The veins on Xiang Nan's forehead bulged. He pointed at Tang Jing and shouted, come, let that pervert come over. I want to see if he dares to touch a finger of the dream butterfly. At most, I'll slash this pervert with a single blade and kill me again. Su Qing was originally smiling playfully at Dream Butterfly, but when he heard Xiang Nan's cold tone, he was so scared that he shrank his neck. Tang Jing also hesitated for a moment. He only wanted to force Xiang Nan, but he didn't expect Xiang Nan to be so tough. But when Rushi heard Xiang Nan say that he was going to chop Su Qing, he sneered and said, Brother Dong, in my opinion, what Tang Jing said is also correct. This southern spirit is very stubborn, so we should use Dream Butterfly to attack. Ru took out a medicine bottle and said, I won't torture her, nor kill her. I have a pill here. If I eat this pill, I can change a man into a woman, and a woman into a man. I'd like to see if Nan will protect Dream Butterfly when I turn her into a man. Ah, no, no, no. Meng Dai was so frightened that her expression turned pale. She was not even afraid of death, but she was extremely afraid of Ru's sinister and vicious move. Just as the two sides were stiff and stalemate, Dong Lin, who was beside them, suddenly had an unusual situation. Father! Father, I'm so cold. Everyone looked over and saw that Dong Lin was trembling. Strangely, Dong Lin started to freeze at a visible speed. A layer of frost appeared on his body, and then his entire face turned green. In Dong Wushang's dazed state, Dong Lin's eyes were almost frozen, turning pale blue. Lin Lin! Dong Wushang was shocked. He hurriedly rushed forward and placed his palm on Dong Lin's chest. He used an endless stream of yuan qi to transport it into Dong Lin's body. Only then did Dong Lin feel slightly better. But just as Dong Wushang withdrew his palm, Dong Lin began to tremble again. The frost that had melted with great difficulty quickly condensed again. What's going on? Dong Wushang shouted anxiously and could only send yuan qi to Dong Lin again. Tan Buhui and Mo Rusher exchanged glances, both puzzled. Only after seeing this scene did Xiang Nan's heart sink. Xiang Nan knew very well that Dong Lin's current situation was because he had eaten the dream butterfly's poison pill. The key was that Dong Lin's situation was exactly the same as little Yuer's back then. How could that be? Xiang Nan's heart skipped a beat. Miss Ruyan once said that little Yuer had been suffering from this strange illness ever since she was born. Every time he got sick, his entire body would freeze. If there was no one to help him transport his yuan qi, he would freeze to death. Since Dong Lin and little Yuer's illnesses were identical, that means little Yuer wasn't sick. He was poisoned. This kind of poison came from the heavenly devil religion. Xiang Nan was shocked and subconsciously looked at Meng Dai. At this moment, Meng Dai was looking at Dong Lin and secretly laughing. Why is this happening? Xiang Nan kept muttering these words in his heart. Was it Meng Dai who poisoned little Yuer? No, little Yuer has been ill since she was young. According to the time, when little Yuer was poisoned, Meng Dai was only an 11 or 12-year-old child. That was done by the heavenly devil religion, but why would the heavenly devil religion poison a descendant of the Whampoa aristocrat clan? This matter had become a mystery in Xiang Nan's mind. To cure this poison, it would be easy as well. As long as Xiang Nan personally took action, it would be difficult as well. If Xiang Nan did not help, it would be very difficult to find a second person who possessed the lightning meridian's talent in this world. Brother Tan, hurry up and help my son see what's wrong with him. Dong Wushang urgently asked for help. That's weird. After examining Dong Lin's injuries, Tan Buhui asked curiously, I've seen this kind of illness before. A few years ago, there was a woman from the Whampoa clan who brought her younger sister to seek medical treatment everywhere. She came to the western regions to find me. Her sister suffers from the same illness as your son. Dong Wushang was overjoyed. That's great. Please treat my son, Brother Tan. TSK, this Tan Buhui shook his head, although I really hope that the Whampoa aristocrat clan will owe me a favor. To be honest, I haven't cured this illness. Dong Wushang's heart suddenly turned cold. Could it be that my son's illness can't be cured? Dong Wu was sad and sad. His son's meridians had been blocked since he was young, but he didn't expect that he would suddenly suffer from a stubborn illness. He really had a rough life. Dream Butterfly's poison pill was very strange. She had said that it was a chronic toxin, so it was very difficult for people to detect that it was poisoned. However, Tan Buhui said, it can be cured. I heard the woman from the Whampoa clan mention that a doctor from the Central Plains Empire once said that to cure this disease, one must refine a third-grade pill called the Thunder Connotation Divine Cultivation Pill. Unfortunately, in order to refine this medicinal pill, one must find a martial artist with the lightning meridian's talent. Lightning meridian's innate? I've never heard of anyone with lightning meridian innate talent in this world. Isn't my son hopeless? Dong Wushang said. At this point, Xiang Nan's heart sank. He didn't expect that Tan Buhui would actually know how to treat his illness. It must have been Miss Ruyan who mentioned the refining method of this pill when she asked Tan Buhui for help. Mingyu Yuan and the others looked at Xiang Nan with strange expressions. They had fought with Xiang Nan before and knew that Xiang Nan possessed the lightning meridian's talent. However, they were all humiliated by Dong Wushang, so how could they tell such a thing? Is it the lightning meridian's innate? I'm so scared. Tang Jing clapped his hands and smiled, wonderful. Do you still need to worry about finding a martial artist with the lightning meridian's talent? Right now, we already have one. Isn't that so, young Master Xiang Nan? Chapter 415 Devil Sea Hall. What? Little friend Xiang has the lightning meridian's talent? Dong Wushang grabbed the straw and shook Xiang Nan's arm hurriedly. Quickly treat my son's illness. Dong Lin had stabilized now, but he would still fall ill in the future. Dong Wushang did not want to miss this opportunity to seek help. Xiang Nan said, Old monster Dong, you have a lot of forgetfulness. You threatened me like that before, but now you are asking me for help. Do you think I will help you? I promise you, as long as you help my son refine pills, I will let you go free, Dong Wushang said hurriedly. Xiang Nan pulled open his shirt and pointed at the skull in his heart. Remove this mark first, then we can talk. Otherwise, you can directly slash me to death with your palm. Brother Dong, why are you saying this to him? Mo Rushi's right hand slowly rotated in the air and condensed a spiral airflow with his yuan qi. He said, when I seduce this brat, I'll let him honestly refine pills for you. No. Tan Buhui shook his head and said, to refine pills, you need to maintain a high degree of concentration. The people you charmed are all unconscious. That kind of wooden appearance is simply impossible to refine pills. Hearing this, Mo Ru was helpless and could only withdraw her right hand. Dong Wushang gritted his teeth and placed his palm on Xiang Nan's heart. However, after thinking for a while, he pulled his hand back. What? Xiang Nan asked, don't you want your son's life? Dong Wushang said, there's no hurry. After we enter the Devil's Sea, I will immediately withdraw the imprint for you. Xiang Nan narrowed his eyes as he thought to himself that this old fellow was easy to scheme against. He was afraid that after withdrawing Xiang Nan's imprint, Xiang Nan would immediately flee. However, if he entered the Devil's Sea, there would be no place for Xiang Nan to escape. Let's go. Let's head to the Devil's Sea immediately. Dong Wushang waved his hand and flew away with everyone. Everyone flew swiftly. With Dong Wushang's cultivation, he led everyone to the west. In just 2 days and a night, they arrived at the west coast of the western regions from the middle of the western regions. According to the Devil's Sea token, this was the place where the Demon Sea had appeared. There were delays on their way. When they arrived at their destination, they were almost a day later than expected. They arrived at night in the Demon Sea that opened this morning. From afar, there was an endless ocean ahead. Dong Wushang took out the Devil's Sea token and carefully observed it. He pointed to the distance and said, the Demon Sea should still be inside. Let's fly over. Yes, but it's good to be late. Tan Buhui said, when the Devil's Sea opens, there must be a lot of people coming. We just happened to miss the time with them, so as to avoid unnecessary conflicts. Everyone continued to fly close to the surface of the sea, flying for more than 1,000 kilometers. This place had already entered the deep sea region. Under the night sky, the full moon was bright. In the calm and tranquil western sea, a large mirror suddenly appeared in front of everyone. The big mirror reached the top of the sky, and it could not be seen to the left or right. Below the mirror, it went deep into the ocean, and similarly, it could not see the bottom. This strange thing suddenly appeared on the surface of the sea, causing everyone to feel an inexplicable shock. Could this be the entrance to the Devil Sea? Mo.Ru's eyes widened in disbelief. Dong Wuxiang took out the Devil Sea token and discovered that the Devil Sea token was dazzling. Moreover, the top of the token was pointing at the big mirror that was shining. My God, good brother, there is such a rare thing in this world. Meng Dai grabbed Xiang Nan's arm. She was both angry and excited. Look, are you going to let us enter the mirror? Everyone was looking at the mirror, and there was a reflection of everyone in the mirror. However, the strangest thing was that almost everyone's reflection was in the mirror, but none of them was Dong Wuxiang. Dong Wuxiang was thoughtful. He casually caught a black flag killer, took away the killer's Devil Sea token, and threw the killer into the mirror. The killer fell into the mirror in a sorry state, and the reflection of the killer in the mirror also fell head-on. With a single sound, the killer rebounded fiercely after hitting the mirror. Dong Wuxiang nodded and said, "Everyone, take out the Devil Sea token and grab it in your hands." Hearing this, everyone took out the Devil Sea token and saw that everyone's reflection had disappeared from the mirror. However, in the middle of the mirror's reflection, there was still a dumb little bird standing in the air. "It's broken." Xiang Nan patted his forehead and said, "I forgot to get the Devil Sea token for Little Sparrow." Who would have thought that even a bird would need the Devil Sea token to enter? No problem. Dong Wuxiang slashed the killer to death with a single palm and handed the killer's Devil Sea token to Xiang Nan, saying, "Take it." "What are you doing?" The other assassins were furious. Xiang Nan looked at Dong Wuxiang, then looked at the killers, then took the Devil Sea token and let the little bird hold it in its mouth. "Let's go. Let's enter together." Dong Wuxiang was afraid that someone would escape, so he tied everyone up with his yuan qi and threw them into the mirror. They saw that when their bodies touched the mirror, it was as if they had entered the water, causing a ring of ripples to appear on the mirror, and everyone could easily sink into the mirror. After Dong Wuxiang was sure that he hadn't missed anyone else, he walked in. Xiang Nan felt a daze in front of him, and then his feet landed on the flat ground. Everyone immediately checked their bodies in panic to see if anything unexpected had happened. After confirming their own safety, they began to look at this place. They found themselves in a hall that resembled an ancient palace. Right in front of them were two merged ancient stone doors, and in the corners of the hall, there were still some human corpses that had been dead for countless tens of thousands of years. When someone was walking in the hall, the sound of wind caused by their footsteps blew the corpses to ashes. I wonder how long these people have been dead. It seems like the Devil Sea has existed for a very long time. Xiang Nan whispered. "Look, the walls on both sides are transparent." Dream Butterfly pointed to the left and right. At this moment, quite a few people had discovered this situation. The walls on both sides of the hall were like transparent mirrors, but one could see that there were two identical halls in the cubicles. In the hall on the left, there was a stone door that was open, but in the hall on the right, like the hall where Xiang Nan was, the stone doors were tightly shut. Not lucky. Tan Buhui rubbed his chin and said, "Looks like some of the halls have been trespassed by the ancients. We just happened to enter a hall that no one came to." We have to open the stone door ourselves. A mere stone door, just push it open. Dong Wuxiang waved his hand and a wave of yuan qi rushed out, smashing into the two ancient stone doors. However, the two stone doors remained motionless. Huh? Dong Wuxiang was stunned. Tan Buhui shook his head and smiled, "Brother Dong, you're too reckless. The stone door here is clearly set up with a formation. If you push it open, then what's the point of building this hall? That's why." Dong Wuxiang cupped his fists and said, "Then I'll have to trouble old Brother Tan." Chapter 416 Ancient Devil Sea. Brother Tan is an expert in the profound Tao. Leave this matter to him. There will definitely be no problem. Mo Rushi giggled. Even though he said that, Tan Buhui's expression was solemn. He knew that this Devil Sea was definitely not that simple. He saw that Tan Buhui approached the stone door first, then his hands condensed yuan qi and began to slowly draw in midair. His fingers flashed across the sky, leaving behind crisscross traces of yuan qi. Those traces of yuan qi formed a huge, intricate formation diagram. Everyone saw this scene and felt that it was inconceivable and incomprehensible. As for Mo Ru, she was also an expert in the profound Tao. Although she cultivated a strange technique, she still knew a lot about the profound Tao. She clapped her hands in praise and applauded, "Brother Tan's exploration diagram is actually a heaven stage elementary stage. I admire it." Then, Tan Buhui pushed the formation diagram, and the formation diagram slowly approached the stone door in the air, finally overlapping with the stone door. In an instant, Tan Buhui's probing formation diagram slowly floated out from the stone door. However, this probing formation diagram was incomplete, only less than 1,200 in its complete state. "What is a probe diagram?" Dong Wuxiang asked curiously. Tan Buhui had already started deducing from the returned exploration diagram. Mo Rushi explained from the side, "Just like Brother Tan, the 7 formations you set up for Brother Mo's manor are invisible to the naked eye. And the key to breaking the formation is to deduce the formation eye. This is the purpose of the exploration diagram. Brother Tan can deduce the formation on the stone gate based on the incomplete exploration diagram. However, this is a time-consuming and energy-consuming process." Dong Wuxiang asked curiously, "Brother Mo's exploration diagram was completely advanced, but when he came out, there were only 1,002 left. Had he failed?" Mo Rushi smiled, "That's not true. There are also grades in exploration diagrams. Generally speaking, Brother Tan only needs to push his heavenly stage elementary stage exploration diagram into a formation. In that case, when this exploration diagram returns, there will be around 120. However, the array formation on this stone gate only returned 1,020. This shows that the array formation on this stone gate is extremely profound and unfathomable. But that's good. To be able to return to the 1012 means that we have a chance to break through the formation. I just need to trouble Brother Tan to spend more energy. That's why." Dong Wuxiang nodded. He only felt that the path of the formation was extremely mysterious. With a martial artist like him, he was probably unable to understand it. What Tan Buhui used was an authentic method of breaking formations. It was also the only method of breaking formations for practically all formation masters. Only by using a probe diagram to spy on the formation could one not trigger the formation. However, Xiang Nan only used both of his hands to wipe his eyes. With lightning photoelectric eyes, he could clearly see the direction of the formation veins on the stone door and the location of the formation eyes. Xiang Nan would never be foolish enough to help Tan Buhui. He said, Old monster Dong, it will take some time for this formation to be broken. Take out your imprint for me. Dong Wushang hesitated for a moment. He thought that Xiang Nan would not be able to escape here, so he walked forward and pulled out the mark on Xiang Nan's chest with his hand. Without the mark, Xiang Nan felt much more relaxed and let out a long sigh of relief. Now, refine pills for my son. Dong Wushang said. Xiang Nan shook his head. I can't do it. What are you talking about? Dong Wushang was furious. He raised his palm, and the yuan qi in his palm buzzed. He roared, you dare to go back on your word. Xiang Nan chuckled, do you think I'm so young? How can I know how to refine pills? I can refine pills, but I have to let old monster Tan refine them. I can cooperate with him by myself. Dong Wushang let out an "oh," then realized that he was too impatient, so he withdrew his right hand. Xiang Nan pulled Dream Butterfly aside and sent her yuan qi to resist the green fire poison in her body. He whispered, how are your meridians? Are you able to circulate yuan qi? Dream Butterfly shook her head, it's useless at all. The green flame poison is pressing down on my meridians and spiritual sea. At this time, Mingyu Yuan came over and whispered, Brother Xiang, senior sister Meng Dai, after the stone door opens, let's rush out together. Meng Dai sneered, don't play this trick. I'm afraid we'll rush when the time comes, but you didn't rush. When Dong Wushang comes after us, you'll find an opportunity to slip away quietly. This, hee. Mingyu Yuan smiled and said, senior sister Meng Dai was thoughtful. She actually saw through my intentions. This bright moon was bad enough, but it was bad openly. He never pretended to be a hypocrite, nor did he conceal it after being seen through. Previously, in the forest, Meng Dai had said that he was sinister and vicious. When the scholar said that he had crossed the river and demolished the bridge, Mingyu Yuan had also admitted it with a smile. This made Xiang Nan look at him in a new light. A truly lowly person would always be more acceptable than a hypocrite. There seems to be a word here. Not far away, Su Qing, the seductive man who had been following Mo Rushi, suddenly shouted. Dong Wushang and Mo Rushi exchanged a glance and went over to take a look. Good brother, let's go take a look. My poison isn't lacking for a while. Meng Dai said. Alright. Xiang Nan nodded and walked over with Dream Butterfly. Beside the two ancient stone doors, there was originally nothing on the wall, but Su Qing was bored. He touched the wall with his hand and discovered that after the dust fell, there were lines of ancient characters inside. Dong Wushang used his yuan qi to clean the wall and saw a large number of words. Everyone read it and was overjoyed. Those words were an introduction to the Devil's Sea. The Devil's Sea had existed for about 500,000 years. The ancient era was 100,000 to 900,000 years old, so the great era of the Devil's Sea was the ancient era. It was rumored that 500,000 years ago, there were two peak experts who fought, and in the battle between the two sides, a turbulent region of space and time was blasted out. This space-time turbulence was the Devil's Sea. It would appear every once in a while. It was estimated that it had existed in the world for 500,000 years. Space-time turbulence meant that the chaotic zone of time and space was incompatible with the real world. About 300,000 years ago, a peak martial artist discovered this space-time turbulence and reused it. They stored the profound cultivation techniques and martial skills they had comprehended, or the peerless divine weapons they had forged, in the Devil's Sea. The Devil's Sea token was actually personally forged 300,000 years ago by a grand artifact refining grandmaster. The person holding the Devil Sea token was able to penetrate the barrier of the turbulent flow of space and time. That was also the big mirror. There was the first person to do so. In the following years, there were also people who followed suit. There were martial arts experts and martial arts geniuses constantly hiding their martial skills in the Devil Sea. The reason for doing so was to be able to inherit it. Some experts were extremely poor and invincible under the heavens. However, the martial skills they used were bitter because no descendant could learn them. They only sighed that their peerless abilities were about to be swallowed up by the river of time. Thus, he had the thought of inheriting it. Since no one in the present age could learn their formidable abilities, then he would send them into the Devil's Sea. Perhaps in the future, there would be geniuses who could comprehend them. Chapter 417 Senior warned. When everyone saw this introduction, they were so excited that they almost went crazy. Cultivation techniques, martial skills, medicinal pills, divine weapons, armor, and so on. There were so many treasures left behind from ancient times that were placed in the Devil's Sea. This was simply a huge treasury. There are still words below. Dream Butterfly pointed downwards and discovered that under the introduction of the Devil's Sea, there were even smaller characters. These characters were relatively new and should have been carved by future generations. These words, on the other hand, were warning words, and their general meaning was as follows. Ever since the first person broke into the Demon Sea 300,000 years ago, this turbulent space-time region had become unstable. Every 30,000 years, it would split into a turbulent space-time region. At the same time, warriors would hide their treasures in the corresponding turbulent layer. Xiang Nan pinched his fingers and calculated. By now, the Devil's Sea should have split into 10 regions of space and time. They were 30,000 years of space and time, 60,000 years of space and time, 90,000, 120,000, and so on. In other words, the moment he entered, he would first enter the 30,000-year-old space-time zone. Keep looking at the warning. At the beginning, the Devil's Sea was unguarded. Anyone who entered could easily take away the treasures inside. However, this matter was noticed by the ancient experts, and there were some checkpoints set up inside to test the martial artists of the future generations. The goal was to let people with real talent and practical knowledge pass through the checkpoints and obtain treasures. Only then would they be able to truly carry forward their cultivation techniques, martial skills, and weapons, pills, and medicines. However, in the years that followed, more and more people entered the Devil's Sea, and some of them couldn't help but be mixed with malicious people. Those people brought some evil creatures into the Devil's Sea, including ancient demonic beasts and some unknown dark creatures. Forget it, there were also some powerful profound Tao experts who had set up numerous traps and profound formations inside. There would always be junior profound practitioners who would disdain the formations of their predecessors after entering. In order to show their talents, they would also set up their own formations and traps. Over time, the Devil's Sea had become incomparably chaotic and complicated, turning it into a land of great viciousness. The person who wrote this warning was an expert from 30,000 years ago. After exploring the Devil's Sea, he discovered that there were many dangers here, so he became kind-hearted and left behind this passage. When they saw this, everyone's originally excited mood instantly cooled down by half. In particular, the last paragraph of the text recorded that there had been people entering the Devil's Sea for many years. However, there were only a few who had truly left behind treasures in the Devil's Sea, and there were many who had robbed the treasures. Therefore, almost everything in the Devil's Sea was about to be looted clean. Ever since the earliest heavenly tribulation experts had left behind divine-level martial techniques, pill refining techniques, and so on, they had been taken away by others. Later on, after the divine-level experts had been searched clean, their descendants had started to take away Tao level, mysterious level, and so on. Therefore, after future generations of martial artists entered, there might be a certain chance that they would be able to pick up the treasures that their predecessors had missed, but the greater possibility was that they would not be able to find anything. Therefore, descendants are advised not to rush into the Devil's Sea if it is not necessary, so as to avoid losing their lives and not being able to get anything. At this point, the warning ended. Everyone felt dispirited. They didn't expect that the Devil's Sea had already become like this. Not only were there many difficulties, even the treasures had been taken away by others. What a bunch of bastards! Mingyu Yuan angrily scolded, "Those damned fellows, it's fine if they don't fill it with treasures, and they even took all the treasures away." Meng Dai mocked, "If you scold someone, why aren't you here to search for treasures?" "Alright, shut up." Dong Wushang was in a bad mood and angrily said, "What are you arguing about? It's not like there's no hope left. Brother Dong is right." Mo Rushi nodded and said, "Perhaps there are only a few martial skills left in there. They are suitable for the Heaven Scryer realm, the Heaven Origin realm, and even the Origin realm. However, the three of us are only at the Heaven Origin realm. Once we get one, we can still use it." Xiang Nan muttered to himself, "No wonder fewer and fewer high realm martial artists are exploring the Devil's Sea now. So that's why." However, on second thought, there was nothing to be disappointed about. Cultivation techniques and martial skills might not be available, but spirit herbs and heavenly materials and earth treasures would grow on their own. If they could find some high-grade spirit herbs, it would be a worthwhile trip. Perhaps they would be able to detoxify the dream butterfly. No matter what, they're all here. We have to go in and take a look. At this time, 3 hours had passed, and Tan Buhui was still sitting on the ground deducing the formation. Xiang Nan secretly laughed in his heart. Perhaps the formation on the door was set up by the senior who had left behind a warning message. At the beginning, Tan Buhui was still full of confidence, but 3 hours later, he still couldn't figure it out and was starting to get anxious. "Brother Tan, isn't that enough?" Dong Wushang couldn't wait any longer and asked. Tan Buhui was so anxious that his head was covered in sweat that he kept muttering to himself, "That doesn't make sense. Why can't I break through the array eye even though I've clearly calculated the location of the array eye?" As he spoke, Tan Buhui gritted his teeth and pushed another probe diagram over. However, the probe diagram returned was completely different from the first one. "This is impossible. This is absolutely impossible." Tan Buhui was shocked as if he had been struck by lightning. Tan Buhui seemed to have received a huge blow, and his entire body went mad. Xiang Nan looked over with his lightning-like eyes. The formation on the stone door was indeed complicated, and there was only one formation eye on it. It was complicated because the formation eye could run. The formation eyes of ordinary formations were fixed, but this formation eye would move according to a certain law over time. If Tan Buhui wanted to calculate the array eye, he could not only calculate the position of the array eye, but also calculate the law of the array eye's movement. However, Tan Buhui pasted the formation diagram and rebounded back. It could only be counted as the location of the formation eye at that time, so he had failed all along. Looks like breaking the formation won't be done in a short while. Brother Dong, let's cultivate the phaseless tribulation finger. If we learn the phaseless tribulation finger, we'll be able to enter at a fixed time. Mo Rushi said. Dong Wushang nodded, deeply convinced. Tan Buhui continued to calculate the formation eyes. Dong Wushang, Mo Rushi, Tang Zheng, Leng Wuyi, and the others sat cross-legged together and circulated the incantation of the tribulation-free finger. Dream Butterfly whispered in Xiang Nan's ear, "Good brother, can you point at this stone door with your tribulation-free finger?" Xiang Nan hurriedly covered Meng Dai's mouth and whispered, "My living ancestor, can you say such words casually?" Meng Dai playfully blinked her eyes and lightly licked Xiang Nan's palm. Xiang Nan's hand itched and he hurriedly withdrew, causing the flower branches of Meng Dai's smile to tremble. Everyone else was distressed to enter the Devil's Sea, but in this corner, Xiang Nan and Meng Dai didn't care. The two of them were very open-minded. If they could enter, they would enter. If they could not enter, it was also not enough good fortune. However, Xiang Nan guessed that the stone door should be indestructible. The phaseless tribulation finger, the phaseless tribulation finger. This type of finger technique was extremely harmful to matter, but the most powerful thing about the stone gate was not the stone gate itself, but the formation hidden inside. Chapter 418 Human Purgatory. Another 3 hours passed, and Tan Buhui couldn't figure out where the array I was. He was so anxious that he scratched his ears and cheeks, almost losing control. "Brother Tan, don't worry." Dong Wushang hurriedly helped Tan Buhui up and said, "Let's rest for a while." Then, Dong Wushang said to Xiang Nan, "Little friend Xiang, I remember the first time I saw you, you used the phaseless tribulation finger to kill that disciple of the heavenly profound sect. If I remember correctly, one of your fingers hit his weapon, right?" "What?" Tang Zheng and Leng Wuye started to fight. Leng Wuye coldly said, "Did he kill a disciple of our the profound sky sect?" The Yuan Qi in Leng Wuye's hand condensed and shouted, "I'll kill him now." "Don't worry, it's important to enter the Devil's Sea." Dong Wushang hurriedly hugged Leng Wuyi and said, "Little friend Xiang, why don't you use your phaseless tribulation finger to point at the stone door?" Meng Dai thought of this idea, and Dong Wushang also thought of it. Xiang Nan was helpless, so he could only take a deep breath and circulate the formless tribulation finger's incantation. As for Mo Rushi, Tan Buhui, and the others, they immediately watched excitedly. They had never seen the formless tribulation finger being used before. "Look carefully." Mo Rushi whispered to Tan Buhui, "Perhaps we can find some ways to cultivate according to the way this kid unleashed his tribulation-free finger." Everyone saw a phantom of a 10-meter-long Buddha standing on the spot where Xiang Nan was standing. The Buddha stood in exactly the same position as Xiang Nan. As for the Buddha standing there, he was both righteous and evil. There was no Buddhist light behind his head, but ghost energy instead. It represented the tolerance and compassion of Buddhism, evil, and suffering and torment without tribulation. Xiang Nan pointed with his fingers together. A black finger force silently shot into the stone door. Immediately after, the stone door began to decay and fall off. Later, it was Peng's voice that turned into a pile of stone powder on the ground. Everyone opened their mouths wide. Mo Rushi and Tan Buhui's eyes flashed with an incomparably greedy light. That Tan Buhui exclaimed in shock, "The tribulation-free finger really didn't disappoint me. Ha, ha, ha. If I learn this finger, who else in the world can stop me?" But then, they couldn't laugh, because even though the stone door had turned into stone powder, there was a barrier of light in the original place of the stone door. The formation is still there. Mo Rushi frowned and said, "Looks like the phaseless tribulation finger can't destroy invisible things." Tan Buhui endured a mouthful of irritation and continued to deduce the formation. Another 3 hours passed. Everyone had been trapped here for nearly 10 hours. Tan Buhui suddenly jumped up and shouted, "I can't take it anymore. I want to forcefully break the formation." "Oh." How can I forcefully break the formation? Dong Wushang hurriedly asked. A fierce light suddenly flashed in Tan Buhui's eyes. On his face, wisps of black gas began to climb up. The black gas enveloped Tan Buhui like a crazy ghost. Tan Buhui circulated his wondrous cultivation technique and roared, I want to use the soul-sacrificing formation to forcefully break through this formation. Brother Dong, arrest me. Soul-sacrificing formation. Dong Wushang immediately burst into laughter. He grabbed a short, fat scarlet tiger martial artist beside him and tossed the short, fat martial artist towards Tan Buhui. Tan Buhui's right hand trembled as 3 3-inch silver needles appeared between his fingers. Not only did Tan Buhui's face suffuse with black gas, the black gas also wrapped around the silver needle. He soared into the air and grabbed the short fat martial artist's head with his left hand. Immediately after, Tan Buhui pierced the 2 silver needles through the temples of the short fat martial artist, and the last silver needle pierced through the short fat martial artist's head vertically. The short and fat martial artist started to spasm. His eyes rolled, and unimaginable pain began to torture him. He cried like he was crazy, and used both of his hands to ruthlessly grab his face, chest, and arms. The handles grabbed him and dripped him with blood. It was as if he wished he could tear apart his flesh and skin pouch. Second brother. In the direction of the scarlet tiger, a long-faced martial artist yelled loudly. He rushed towards the martial artist who had been pierced through by the silver needle. The martial artist wearing the silver needle had gone mad. He actually bit off half of his shoulder meat in one bite towards his long-faced brother. Second brother. The long-faced martial artist hugged the short and fat martial artist. No matter how crazily the short and fat martial artist was willing to bite him, he would never retaliate. Second brother, let me help you pull out the needle. The long-faced martial artist's shoulder was bitten to the point of being badly mutilated, but he held on and reached out to pull out the needle. As a result, the 3 silver needles could not be pulled out. The long-faced martial artist had just grabbed the silver needles when the silver needles went deeper into the short and fat martial artist's head, causing the short and fat martial artist to cry. The long-faced martial artist hugged his brother, tears streaming down his face. Damn bastards! What did you do to my second brother? I'll fight you! The long-faced martial artist let go of the short and fat martial artist and rushed towards Dong Wushang regardless of everything. Dong Wushang laughed coldly and knocked the long-faced martial artist to the ground with a single palm. He said, 6th level of origin return, you dare to attack me. Looking at the short and fat martial artist, he had already torn off the flesh on his face one by one in pain. Later, the short and fat martial artist was suddenly stunned. A white shadow suddenly rushed out from above his head. The white shadow let out an unhuman scream and wanted to escape, but the 3 silver needles on the short and fat martial artist's head emitted black gas 3 times, entangling the white shadow. And that white shadow was actually the soul of a short and fat martial artist. Even after his soul shed its shell, Tan Buhui wouldn't let him off. The short and fat martial artist's soul only had a blurry face. It could be seen that his face was incomparably painful and twisted, letting out miserable screams. Gradually, the short and fat martial artist's soul changed, from an ordinary soul to a fierce ghost. He had changed from a fierce ghost to an evil ghost. Tan Buhui laughed loudly and jumped out. He grabbed onto the ghost soul that was wrapped in silver needles. Black gas filled his hand and crushed the ghost to death. He crushed the ghost into a white stream of air. In the air above the jet stream ticket, it condensed into a tangible formation with a ghost face outline. Everyone was shocked to see such a scene. Xiang Nan said angrily, "Dong Wushang, Tan Bu Hui. You are simply inhumane." Dong Wushang laughed loudly and tossed the long-faced martial artist out as well. Tan Bu Hui jumped up to catch the long-faced martial artist and used 3 silver needles to pierce through the long-faced martial artist's temples and head. The long-faced martial artist also started to spasm, letting out earth-shattering cries. Again, Dong Wushang grabbed 2 heavenly devil cult disciples and threw them over. As long as these people were pierced through their heads by the silver needles, they would howl in pain and crazily grab their bodies. It was a human instinct. They were so painful that they wanted to tear apart their bodies and jump out of their souls. Normal humans would not be able to control their souls or even realize that their souls existed, and the needle Tan Bu Hui used was called the soul-locking needle. Tan Bu Hui's method was to forcefully force out the souls of humans and then destroy them, causing them to deteriorate. Only then could they be used by the so-called soul-sacrificing formation. After being tortured and tortured by Tan Bu Hui, the painful souls were thrown into the soul-sacrificing formation. The soul-sacrificing formation grew stronger and stronger, and more twisted and painful ghost faces appeared on the formation. Such a scene was simply unimaginable. Torturing people to death was not even considered, not even letting go of their souls. However, Dong Wushang still laughed loudly. He grabbed one person and threw it over, then grabbed another person and threw it over again. Mo Rushi smiled as she watched this scene. She actually felt her entire body burning with excitement and started to sleep with Su Qing on the spot. Tan Bu Hui's disciple, Tan Tang, clapped his hands happily. Interesting. Master, you heard them call you interesting. Just a few more stabs. Such a scene was like a purgatory in the mortal world. Xiang Nan recovered from his tremendous shock. He pulled out his dragon blood saber and roared, F***ck your ancestors. The dragon blood saber's yuan cheek trembled as it emitted a heaven-shaking dragon roar. Chapter 419. Be in charge of one's own affairs. Xiang Nan raised his saber high and shouted, "Do you want to live on your knees or choose to die on your feet? If we don't fight now, when will we wait? Let's fight them." The remaining dozen or so martial artists in the hall all responded to Xiang Nan's orders. Xiang Nan took the lead in releasing 2 avatars, and then his true body and avatar simultaneously hacked out 4 blade lights. The blade lights condensed into a 20-meter long blade light and fell towards Tan Bu Hui. The Scarlet Tiger, Black Flag, and the Heavenly Demon sect all rebelled, releasing strong yuan qi as they charged towards Tan Bu Hui, Dong Wushang, and the others. Su Qing did not have the strength. Mo Ru was the first to fight in a chaotic battle. In order to protect Su Qing's safety, he did not have the time to kill others. Tan Bu Hui and Dong Wushang, on the other hand, attacked angrily. Tan Bu Hui shouted, "Brother Dong, don't kill them. Just beat them until they lose their ability to resist. Otherwise, my soul-sacrificing formation will have no soul as its motivation." Dong Wushang nodded. The 2 of them took out their palms together, and with their heaven origin realm cultivation, they slashed down the young martial artists one by one. Xiang Nan and the others said that they were fighting back, but with so many people added together, they were no match for a heavenly yuan realm expert, let alone 2 heavenly yuan realm experts. At the beginning of the chaotic battle, Xiang Nan and the others had fallen into an absolute disadvantage. There were 5 Scarlet Tiger experts who had been half-killed by Dong Wushang's palm force. The 5 of them struggled to get together and shouted, "Xiang Nan, take revenge for us." After saying that, the 5 of them resolutely chose to self-destruct their spiritual seas. Boom! In such a narrow and sealed environment, the momentum created by the self-destruction of the spiritual sea by 5 6th level origin returning experts was incomparably shocking. For a moment, the entire hall was engulfed by the heat wave and sea of flames from the explosion. The power of these self-detonations was still not a threat to Tianyuan realm experts, but it could cause the scene to instantly go out of control. Amidst the loud explosion and the sea of flames that engulfed the entire hall, everyone's vision and hearing were temporarily rendered useless. Xiang Nan used his Yuan Qi to protect the dream butterfly and retreated to the side of the stone gate array. He wiped his eyes with both of his hands and used the lightning photoelectric eye. The lightning vision allowed Xiang Nan to immediately obtain a visual range that no one else possessed. He turned around and pointed at Tan Buhui with a finger of Mo Ku. He studied the formation that Tan Buhui had not broken for more than 10 hours and gave him a pointer to break it. Quickly escape. The formation is broken. Xiang Nan poured Yuan Qi into his throat, and with a loud voice, a thunderous roar resounded in the hall. At this moment, the impact of the martial artist's self-destruction was retreating like a floodgate. The young martial artists were ecstatic as they all rushed out of the door. In the midst of the chaos, Tan Buhui angrily said, "Little bastard. I'll kill you first." As he spoke, Tan Buhui let out a cry of regret and pounced toward Xiang Nan. He gathered his Yuan Qi with both of his hands and was about to blow Xiang Nan to death. "Brother Tan, you can't. My son still needs to rely on his Lei talent to refine pills." That Dong Wushang was shocked and quickly pounced over, knocking Tan Buhui away in midair. "Don't stop me, I want to kill him." Tan Buhui was furious and struck Dong Wushang with his palm. Dong Wushang and Tan Buhui exchanged a palm strike and angrily said, "If I say I can't, then I can't. You two stop fighting." "When is it? You still have to fight amongst yourselves." Mo Ru's hands formed seals. Suddenly, 2 strange plants grew on the ground. The 2 plants had long whip vines that wrapped around the fighting Tan Buhui and Dong Wushang. Immediately after, another large area of plants grew out, entangling all of the young martial artists who were fleeing for their lives in the doorway. Taking advantage of the moment the 3 Tianyuan martial artists attacked, Xiang Nan pulled Dong Lin, Tan Tang, and Su Qin to his side with his flower fingers. "Ah, not good." Dong Wushang and the other 2 cried out loudly. Tan Buhui's body trembled and the whip that was wrapping around him was shattered. Xiang Nan kicked Dong Lin, Tan Tang, and Su Qin to the ground side by side. He raised his saber horizontally and placed it on the necks of the 3 of them. "Quickly let go of my Su Qin." Mo Rushi's face turned pale from fear, fearing that Xiang Nan would kill Su Qin on impulse. "Remove those damn plants, or I'll do it now." Xiang Nan pushed the giant saber down a few points. Dong Lin and the others were pushed so far away that their knees creaked on the ground. "Ah! Save me! Save me! I don't want to die." Su Qin did not have any strength at all. Being suppressed like this, he immediately screamed in pain. Mo Rushi panicked. She quickly took all the plants away and said in fear, "Xiang Nan, don't be impulsive. If you have something to say it properly. You guys, hurry up and leave." Xiang Nan ignored Mo Rushi and shouted at the young warriors behind him. Xiang Nan held Dong Lin and the others hostage and blocked the door with his own body. When the young martial artists outside saw this scene, they were all shocked. At that moment, in their eyes, Xiang Nan's figure became incomparably grand. Xiang Nan, what are you going to do? A scarlet tiger martial artist tugged at his throat and shouted, "This daddy has no eyes. I harmed you earlier, but this daddy will not leave you alone. We will leave together." As the saying goes, adversity shows true feelings. The first person to be thrown into the soul-sacrificing formation was the Scarlet Tiger, and the first person to stand up and fight for survival was Xiang Nan. "Yes, brother Xiang." Mingyu Yuan frowned and said, "Although I'm not a good person, I don't like to owe people favors. Do you want to cut off the rear for all of us by yourself? Don't talk nonsense." Xiang Nan roared angrily, "If I let you go, you should hurry up and leave. Hurry up and leave." Everyone glanced at Xiang Nan's back and immediately gritted their teeth as they turned around and rushed towards the depths of the Devil Sea. "Xiang Nan. This daddy will remember this. One day, I will return it to you." The only remaining Scarlet Tiger expert at the 7th level of Origin Return roared. He clasped his fists and knelt down on one knee at Xiang Nan's back, then turned around and ran away. "No wonder Senior Sister Meng Dai likes you. I admire such a hot-blooded man." Mingyu Yuan nodded and left. When all the young martial artists left, only Dream Butterfly remained by Xiang Nan's side. "Xiang Nan, don't be impulsive. Let go of my son. We can still discuss something." Dong Wushang carefully persuaded. "Father, quickly save me." Dong Lin knelt on the ground and cried until he was in tears. Tan Tang was so scared that her lips turned pale. She stared at Tan Buhui and trembled. "Master, Tang Tang doesn't want to die. Tang Tang still wants to serve Master." As for Su Qing, he was the most miserable. He had already fainted from fear. If Xiang Nan hadn't used his Yuan Qi to wrap around him, he would probably have been lying on the ground. Xiang Nan laughed loudly, "You 3 old monsters, and these 3 little monsters, what about the might and joy you had when you tortured and killed others just now? Where the hell is he? Why are you laughing so happily when you're killing people? When you're about to be killed, you're all scared to death like wild dogs." Chapter 421st Spacetime Region. Xiang Nan cursed angrily, "Only your lives are your lives, only your dignity is your dignity. Others deserve to be trampled on by you. What the hell am I going to do to you? You." Xiang Nan pointed at the back of Tan Tang's neck. The pain caused Tan Tang's eyes to roll and she shouted, "Didn't you clap your hands and cheer when Old Man Tan killed someone? Didn't you want to hear a miserable scream? Now, let me hear you scream as well." As she spoke, Xiang Nan's fingers condensed Yuan Qi. The Yuan Qi immediately rushed into Tan Tang's body, destroying her meridians like a bamboo shoot. Tan Tang screamed in pain. The scream was as shrill as that of the young warriors who had been tortured and killed earlier. "Tang Tang! My Tang Tang!" Tan Buhui's old face was already filled with tears of heartache. "Do you feel good? Do you feel good about this?" Xiang Nan asked in Tan Tang's ear with a gloomy face. Tan Tang had long since been tortured to the point where she could no longer even scream like a human. "And you bastard!" Xiang Nan looked at the unconscious Su Qing and said angrily, "Didn't you like to use your dirty lower body to violate others? Do you think that everyone in the world is like IMMORTAL, who is willing to be fucked by you? I'll let you do it, I'll fucking let you do it." As he spoke, Xiang Nan kicked Su Qing in the crotch. Not to mention Su Qing's lower body, even his entire pelvis was broken by Xiang Nan's kick. Su Qing was suddenly kicked out of his coma. He covered his lower body with both hands, and the pain was so intense that his screams were even more miserable than Tan Tang's. Ah! Brat, I'm going to peel you alive. Mo-Ru's long hair fluttered in anger, and his appearance seemed to be on the verge of madness. And you? Xiang Nan looked at Dong Lin. Dong Lin personally saw how Xiang Nan treated Tan Tang and Su Qing. When his eyes met Xiang Nan's, he was immediately scared out of his wits. He pleaded bitterly, I was wrong. I really was wrong. Xiang Nan, please spare me. Bullshit. Xiang Nan roared, don't you like to eat people? Don't you like to devour other people's vitality in one bite? When others beg of you, how could your bastard father ever be soft-hearted? And when did you not eat happily? I'll fucking let you eat. Xiang Nan's left hand punched straight into Dong Lin's mouth. This punch smashed Dong Lin's teeth into pieces. Xiang Nan grabbed Dong Lin's tongue and pulled out his entire tongue with his left arm. Son! Dong Wushang knelt on the ground in despair with a splash. He used both of his hands to grab his hair fiercely, feeling heartache and pity for his own son, causing him to be at a loss what to do. Ha 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 ha. Xiang Nan laughed loudly, good. Really good. You three old bastards, you also know how heartbroken and sad you are. Today, I will let you taste it. I will personally witness the feeling of my own flesh being slaughtered on the spot. Xiang Nan, you dare. Dong Wushang, Tan Buhui, and Mo-Ru shouted hysterically. What the fuck do I not dare to do? Xiang Nan raised his saber, and Dong Lin, Tan Tang, and Su Qing's heads shot into the sky. With a single slash, Xiang Nan took the opportunity to protect Dream Butterfly. With a bolt of lightning, his body turned into black lightning and suddenly disappeared. Oh! Xiang Nan! I have a grudge against you for a day and 2 places. 3 rivers and 4 seas hate each other. If I don't kill you, I swear I won't be human. From behind, Dong Wushang and the others screamed in pain. Xiang Nan had already appeared 100 miles away amidst this desperate and mournful cry. Xiang Nan used lightning escape, and his consciousness was bitterly swallowed by the void stone. In addition to his previous intense emotions, when he rushed out, he felt dizzy, and the heavens and earth were spinning. Quickly rest. Meng Dai supported Xiang Nan and sat down to rest. No, it's not safe here. Xiang Nan struggled to get up and said, those 3 old beasts are all experts of the heaven origin realm. A distance of 100 miles is nothing to them. We have to leave immediately. Xiang Nan picked up the Dream Butterfly and jumped into the sky. He spread out his Yuan Qi feathered wings and was so dizzy that he wanted to fly away. However, when he flapped his wings, a huge pressure suddenly came from the night sky, crushing Xiang Nan heavily to the ground. What's going on? Xiang Nan shook his head forcefully, trying his best to wake himself up, but his consciousness was confused and he was unable to distinguish the current situation. Meng Dai opened her mouth wide in surprise and said, no-fly zone. Ha, good brother, that's great. This Devil Sea is actually a no-fly zone. The so-called no-fly zone was a formidable pressure formation set up by an extremely powerful martial artist in a designated area. In the no-fly zone, humans and martial artists could jump, but they could not fly. Once they were judged to be flying, there would be a powerful pressure that would forcefully smash the flying crew to the ground. Normally speaking, the no-fly zone was set up in some very important places, such as Haojing, the capital of the Haotian Empire. Xiang Nan heaved a sigh of relief and said, so this Devil Sea is a no-fly zone. That's much better. At least Dong Wushang and the others can't rush over in a short period of time. Dong Wushang and the others didn't know exactly where Xiang Nan had run to or how far he was. In order to search for Xiang Nan, they had to fly and search in the air. However, if they were unable to fly, it would be much more difficult to find them. Xiang Nan looked at his surroundings and discovered that the first spacetime zone in the Demon Sea was very strange. The ground here was as smooth as a mirror. In other words, it looked no different from a mirror. It could actually reflect a person's shadow. Ice. Meng Dai was also curious. She knocked on the ground with her hand and made a clanging sound. She frowned and said, "It's not ice." "Then what is this? Why is there such a strange land here? And look." Dream Butterfly pointed to the distance and said, "Apart from the strange things on the ground, there are also some weirder plants." When Xiang Nan heard this, he saw a strange mushroom standing on the land. Each of the mushrooms was about 10 meters tall, and the crown was actually 10 meters in diameter. At first glance, it looked like the shape of an open oil paper umbrella. The mushroom closest to the two of them was less than 100 meters away. "Let's go take a look." The two of them helped each other to a mushroom. Xiang Nan touched the mushroom trunk with his hand and found that his palm was as smooth as a mirror. "What's going on?" Xiang Nan was greatly surprised. This Demon Sea's first spacetime zone was truly unimaginable. At this time, the sky was bright. The sunlight dispersed the darkness and pounced on him. The two of them happened to be standing in the shadows of the mushrooms, untouched by the sunlight. But at this moment, Xiang Nan's heart trembled and he shouted, "Something's wrong with this sunshine. Don't go out." Novel Empire. Immortal God of Battle.